Hello, gamers, and welcome on this fine Friday evening to Challenger Approaching on the Games Done Quick Hot Fix. My name is Adif. I'm the host of Challenger Approaching and PB Precipice. And tonight we will be joined by Jeff Overtime, who will be showing off Dark Souls 3 hitless any percent. We'll get into what all that means in just a second. Luckily, as opposed to many of the other challenges we've had on the show, it's actually pretty self explanatory, which is great. But nonetheless, let's get into the announcements first. Gamers. AGDQ 2022 will be starting on January 9th. Visit gamesdonequick.com for more information and detailed dates on the event. Also, guess who's going to be an interviewer at AGDQ 2022? It's me. You can see me at the thing. So do the thing. Go see the thing in a month. Also, stay tuned after this show for Legally Cute, a show with cute or relaxing speedruns where we'll have a collection of cute games on tonight. And tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern is Tina's RPG show, I guess. And then later at 11 p.m. Eastern, we'll be running the English restream for a Japanese Mega Man X event. So be sure to check in for all of that hotfix and speedrunning related content. But tonight here with us, we have Jeff. Jeff, how are you?
Doing okay. I've had cookies today, so it's a good day.
Cookie day is good day. I couldn't agree more, gamers. Also, I apologize if you're hearing any construction. We have Drill Guy on the other side of my wall all day, all week. He just drills away. What's he drilling? Who knows? But Jeff, we're excited to have you on, and we're excited to show off Dark Souls 3. It's been kind of like Dark Souls month almost. We had Lil Aggie doing Dark Souls 1 consumables only a few weeks ago.
Cool.
I'd love for you to tell me what your sort of journey has been like with Dark Souls 3.
Oh, it's been pretty interesting in general. The idea being that I kind of love Dark Souls and I loved playing it with my friends, loved playing it by myself very casually. And it didn't occur to me until, however long ago that it's like you can do different kinds of runs and so on and so forth. So there's, for those of you who've never done challenge run of Dark Souls of any kind, there's Soul Level 1 where it's just like, hey, what if I play Dark Souls but don't level up? Then of course there's classic like deathless, damageless, hitless, things like that. People like throwing in modifiers to that where it's like, okay, I'm going to do hitless, but I'm only going to use sorcery and, or only consumables. These sorts of things. So for me, it's been a journey of exploring and learning a lot of new things and playing with friends. I am definitely the kind of person that will do their best to convince people to at least give Dark Souls a shot because it can be scary. It seems scary, but it's fine. You just take your time. Don't get mad and don't give up.
I would agree with all the above. I'm not a Dark Souls competitive type gamer, but I did play it and I can't recommend it enough. Jeff, so how long have you been playing hitless? Do you know sort of when you started?
Yeah, I actually have a tracker going just on my personal level to be like, okay, how long have I been at this? Where do I feel like I'm at relative to that? Because I like keeping metrics and stuff like that.
I think that's great, honestly, for speedrunning too, not just as a quick aside, but like more people should keep spreadsheets of their data as they progress. But anyway, please continue.
Yeah, so I've been at it off and on since for the past like 6 months or so. I say off and on because I do variety streaming things. So I took a little bit of time off for spooky Halloween shenanigans, of course. So I stream Monday, Tuesday is Dark Souls, and then usually Thursday is my variety hour.
Nice.
But yeah, so and. Before that, I've done different challenges, including Deathless and Soul Level 1 and things like that, just as kind of preparation. But I actually got into Hitless specifically as an incentive on my channel. We were raising money for charity, and I set some bonkers high goal to say, like, hey, I dare you, go for it. And my chat blew me out of the water and made me look a fool, but I'm okay with that. So I committed.
Amazing. Fantastic. Well, I think, we'll have plenty of time to sort of discuss the ins and outs of the run as we get going here. So, Jeff, whenever you're ready, feel free to give a little countdown. We'll throw it over to your game feed here, and Jeff, take it away.
Sure. I've been leaving it on the title screen so that Adef can listen to one of his favorite soundtracks. I don't actually normally even play with audio. I do a lot of like lo-fi, without music rather. Yes. I do like a lot of lo-fi sort of stuff just to be like, hey, let's just keep it chill, all that sort of stuff. Right. So I always do Nimi is the character name. If you know what that is a reference to, is Sword Nimi. Then shout out to you for being a person who likes good books. At least I think so. If you don't know what it means, that's okay. I'm a huge fan of fantasy novels.
Also, really quick, I think it is worth mentioning right away, and we'll obviously get into it as the run progresses, but just below Jeff, you will see this sort of like table looking thing with all these numbers. Don't worry if it's a little daunting. We'll get into what it all means in just a moment. But I figured I'd just preface it that, like, yes, there are lots of numbers and words below Jeff's face. But anyway, Jeff, please continue.
Yeah. So I am ready. So you said you wanted a countdown?
Yeah, the classical 3, 2, 1, go whenever you're ready.
All right, let's do 3, 2, 1, and go. Oh,
Good luck. Have fun.
thanks. So I will end up skipping a bunch of cutscenes and whatnot. For those of you who want to know the lore, there is a lot of lore to be had in Dark Souls. It is often difficult to approach because it's tucked away. It's probably one of my least favorite facets about the game because I really do enjoy the story, but it is something that you really have to dig for to some extent. There are plenty of videos that I would encourage you to, like, if you are wondering about the story at all, go check it out. You know, classic ones are like Batu Vidya and all that sort of stuff. I myself have been digging through the lore on my channel as well, just talking about things like where we began and so on, and to some extent some of the dev related stuff. For those of you who don't know, I do work as a game developer. So previously worked on The Last of Us Part 2, currently working on God of War, all that sort of stuff. It was good fun.
I worked on that one too. Hang on. Did we work together on something?
Very briefly, yes.
Oh my god.
Too briefly indeed. But yeah, so that is what I do when I'm not here usually. Well, not here, but on twitch.tv. We're waiting for this archer to de-aggro, which he has. This is everyone's favorite Gundyr. Thank you, Tucker, for the good luck. Oink. So I start as the assassin class, and I'll get into why later. So now I'm trying to not get hit to Gundyr because that would be slightly embarrassing. And then this, he jumps, we roll. You can just outrun that, but I'm impatient. Will we get a stagger? Not today. All right, that's Gundyr with no stagger because he decided he did not want to participate, but that's okay. We're gonna run over here and we're gonna touch this door. If you're playing Dark Souls for the first time, you have to be careful. This door will light you on fire. But you know, yeah, so I start as the assassin class. Realistically, there's a couple different classes you can choose that when you're doing hit lists that are considered generally optimal. Assassin starts with the magic spell Spook, which we will see showcased a little bit later. The alternative, the common alternative at least, is to start as the mercenary because it starts with the weapon that you actually will end up using for the vast majority of the run. I'm coming up here to grab a couple of embers because I like having money in the ways of being able to use it for more power, and these are worth 1,000 a pop. Just gotta run past this dog. He gets really scared, so we just continue running because we don't want to scare the pupper.
So I think a few things worth mentioning really quick, if you don't mind, Jeff.
Please, yes.
So the first thing is that obviously Jeff is not wearing any clothes in game. No armor, because armor is not important in a hitless run, since you're not planning on taking damage unless armor has some other, secondary or tertiary benefit, like a passive effect. Then it's not really important. And also it just encumbers you, so you can't run as fast. Second, there is a difference between hitless and damageless that I think we should address.
This is correct.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
That's fair. So damageless and hitless in Dark Souls 3, I have been told, are relatively similar in difficulty. However, I have never done damageless, so I don't want to speak to that. Hitless means that I don't get hit by things such as enemies or traps. There are certain environmental things that do not count as hits. However, there are things that don't do damage that also counts as hits. I see took fall damage question mark in chat. Yeah, that is fall damage does not count as a hit. Dying to fall damage counts as a hit. So don't do that. But otherwise, I chose hitless over damageless because I like the pacing of the run a little bit more. So definitely a thing that I respect people who enjoy doing stuff like damageless. However, we don't. I just like the pacing of this a little bit more personally.
Yeah, so I think the biggess discrepancy, right, is that people see fall damage and immediately are like, "Oh my God, it's he took a hit." But you know, hitless specifically meaning like a thing hits you essentially.
Correct. The other thing that I think people will get kind of caught up on is I will at some point get poisoned because I'm going to walk through poison. In fact, I will roll through poison, and that doesn't count as either. If you want to know the full list and details for individual games as run by Team Hitless, that Team Hitless has their own website with all the different rules for the different games that they have verifiers for. This includes anything from Dark Souls to Hollow Knight to Resident Evil and all that sort of stuff. So definitely go check that out. If you want to know specifics or have questions, there's also people that are willing to provide support and answers. People who've done this way longer than I have. Yep. Run right past that guy. We're going to run up here. I like going on this.
Oh, go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
You're good. 2 seconds, actually. Scary.
The other thing I think worth going over really quick is the hit tracker beneath Jeff. So as Jeff sort of gallivants through the wonders of Dark Souls 3, you'll basically see, if any of you gamers have watched speedrunning streams, it's pretty similar concept, where speedrunner would use splits to say, okay, how far ahead or behind am I? A hitless or a damageless runner, also Drill Guy making a return appearance.
Hello, Drill Guy.
A hitless or a damageless runner would use these sort of splits to keep track of, okay, how many hits did I take on this segment? So you'll see there are two numbers. There's a number out of parentheses and a number in parentheses. The number out of parentheses is the number of hits on that individual segment, and the number of hits in parentheses is the total up to that point. So we're currently looking at Jeff's PB, which is 17 hits. And so you can see, like, for example, whichever boss he has deemed Tony Danza.
That's Tiny Dancer.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Hold me closer, Tony Danza.
Of course. 2 hits in that segment, but 4 hits total up to that point. And that is the methodology behind that. And I'm sure there will be lots of gamers asking questions about that and fall damage. So gamers, if you're in chat right now and you heard the answer to either of those questions, feel free to help people out in chat who join in and have questions.
I am trying to watch chat a little bit, and I will try and do things like remember to actually update my splits as I'm doing them. That is something I'm slightly notorious for. We have found someone faking our grandmother's identity, so we can't have any of that.
Simply will not have it.
Will not have it. Grandma lives at home in the shrine. Small animation skips and stuff like that are permitted in Hitless. Major glitches are not. So any sort, as well as quitouts. Quitouts are not allowed unless you are basically in shrine, and even then, only if it's like you're fixing a major bug or something like that. We have 2 in the middle, so we're gonna have 1 on the left. He's walking towards us, which is less sexy, but it's okay.
There's a great question in chat here that says, so you don't reset the run if you take a hit, it's just get hit as little as possible? Essentially, yeah. Until somebody, you know, and there are many people who have managed to complete this game hitless and many other games, but Jeff is still working towards that goal. So, you know, just whittling away hits as he can.
Yeah, so there's people have definitely lived the life of the cursed PB, which is PB like 1 or PB 2 usually, where it's like, oh, I got a hit. This run is no longer valid, and I basically have to either consider restarting or just continuing the run for practice of something. Usually if you're at that sort of PB, though, you have the practice you need typically to continue onwards, and you usually just restart.
And plus, you know, this sort of run fits well for a no reset type deal like Challenger approaching, you know, because Jeff is going to finish out the run no matter what it looks like. Even if it's 0 or 100 hits, we're going to see the whole thing.
If it's 100 hits, someone call an ambulance because something's happened to me.
So a common theme throughout a lot of Dark Souls speedruns and challenge runs that you're seeing Jeff employ here is, you know, like in Bloodborne, your bolt paper, or in Dark Souls, gold pine resin. Sort of elemental applications to non-elemental weapons is super powerful, especially if the boss is weak to that.
We got a broken phase 2 actually, so things are weird. Apologies.
Unacceptable.
He's chosen to give me weird AI where he skipped the transition, which means I did too much damage. I think, which is usually not possible. But we continue onwards. Played a little safe. Try and know. Something I encourage runners in general to do if you're looking at running this yourself is no phase 2. You don't want to experience phase 2 on a lot of different bosses, but you will have to sometimes, and that's okay. Ooh. Yeah, that's a death. Unfortunate. So what happened there? We had a point where I got a bad transition, which can happen because you will essentially break his AI by doing slightly too much damage. And that's okay in the sense that you can just experience phase 2. I got a little sloppy there because I haven't done phase 2 in a while, because he usually doesn't just break like that. But c'est la vie. We continue on.
C'est la vie. It also, like, it's worth mentioning, gamers, like, this is a very difficult challenge, especially to do on a big stream like this. So, you know, this is in its entirety intended to be a showcase, as any challenger approaching is. In fact, we've had probably five or six different hitless / damageless runs of various games on this show, and no one has ever done it in their respective game on this show. So, you know, expect some hits this evening, of course, but Jeff will be giving us the show nonetheless. So, gamers, let's get some bless related emotes in the chat, please.
I appreciate you. It is a thing that
give Jeff the power.
Yeah, I usually don't typically consider it like an active run. Like if I'm doing my own sort of things, I would reset if I got hit 2 vorts, because we don't need that sort of business usually, but that's okay. I'm just kind of making my way back. Having to deal with the dragon is part of the reason that I don't typically consider it a valid run, because vort's usually pretty rote. I goofed myself by just doing too much damage a little bit, which is kind of hard to do. It's intentionally why I use the dagger. Because the dagger does do less damage, and we just rely on the lightning procs, everything like that. This is me using Spook, by the way. For those of you who don't know what Spook does, it reduces your fall damage to 0. It does not mean that you cannot die from falling, but it also makes you silent, which is handy. So I can do stuff like very casually, just like run around behind this dude, and, you know, don't really have to worry about all those shenanigans there. We are going to have an interesting entrance to Vort, now that he is been activated. I'm not sure how this will go. If it gets weird, I do, for what it's worth, have save states backed up just in case of proper royal shenanigans occurring, because
we figured that having some save states, especially for a game and challenge like this, would be fine for we're just showcasing what this run looks like. So
yeah, it's also very possible to soft lock yourself in some ways, such as like your soul count does matter pretty heavily. So you could potentially put yourself in a position where it's like, I don't have enough souls to continue the run as I would, have to do it in that regard. So I know I haven't updated my hits. I will do that on completion of this. I'm keeping track. Oh, wow. The number of times he's accidentally hit me with that attack where he just drops the hammer. 1, 2, 3. This is what you normally do. And then there goes a Vort for the most part. You'll have a little bit of health left because I didn't do enough on the transition, but that's okay. Ooh, that's on me. Okay, so we've got a few hits on this point. Really embarrassing, unfortunately, but such is life.
It's just the early nerves. It's the early nerves. We gotta shake 'em.
Yeah, of all the things that I didn't practice was Vort today, so, but that's okay. So I'm counting this. We had 1 hit on that last one, then I got 2 hits on the previous one, I think. That's okay. We're moving past Vort. So now we are moving on to the FBI Watchers, where there will be a bunch of shenanigans involved. The primary showcasing of what Spook can do is not until much later. However, we do utilize it here. You can kind of get up on this ledge, and if you use Spook here, you will take no fall damage, because otherwise this would normally kill you. I missed one dog, but that's okay because we land behind them and they just kind of ignore us. There's a lot of different ways that you can approach you can approach this door a few different ways. I usually throw a bomb here, which means I have to watch for those two undead that are up front, because otherwise if they get in the way, they'll catch my bomb, and I don't want that because there's other people on the other side of that gate that I want to catch my bomb.
I think, Jeff, there is a small potential you may have miscounted the first attempt at Vort. I think it was either 5 or 6, I think, on the first attempt.
That's fair. I kind of lost count a little bit, so that's on me. I will update that, as is easy to do. But we got those dogs. We'll go back. How do I do? I think
it was 5 in the first, and then the second was 2 or 3.
Sure. So we'll count that as 7.
I think that's fine.
That's okay with me. My PB being 17, this is usually not a problem area for me, but such is life. I will go ahead and even grab this just for the sake of having it. Just because as a sort of fallback. We're going to get some 2 farmers right here, and one of them could potentially be a little glitchy and sometimes does some weird shenanigans. So I usually just roll stuff these guys. Unfortunately, second farmer decided to join the fray. You can take these guys all the way back to where the other undead are if you have killed all the dogs. Sometimes if you do not kill all the dogs with your bomb toss, you have to close the gate, which is a bit of a bummer, but it is manageable. Oink. So we're going to do this, grab our smaller shield, which I don't actually need anymore now that I'm starting as the assassin class, because the assassin does come with one of the best parrying shields in the game. It has a slightly longer recovery than small leather shield, but I have both just in case. I only recently stopped using the small leather shield, so I still kind of habitually grab that to some extent because it's right there and it's worth 100 souls. So we do care a little bit about our early soul gain just to make sure that we're not getting too far behind. This man wants to join us, so we kick him out of our house because this is our house. I did not invite him to my Animal Crossing village. Thank you. We make sure we get that on the left side so that we don't get gotten by the fake enemy that looks like that. Let's see. There's a lot of these little enemies early on that are pretty handy to just roll into because it'll stop their motion, stop their attack. I will grab this. This is another small situation where I can use spook. You don't have to. You could just heal. Just make sure you don't fall off that ledge too far. We're grabbing a bunch of Titanite and things along the way because we are eventually going to be getting the Wind Blades. For those of you who know the Soul Sword Twin Blades, very powerful weapons. That's what we will eventually be using properly. I'm going to swap to the dagger here so that I can kill this little lizard because he contains goodies and we want those goodies. Let's see. There's our good friend Hodrick. He likes to hang out, just stop in, pay us a visit. I am playing Steam offline mode because we can do that to avoid various different things such as other NPC invaders. For those of you who've never participated in Hitlist before, oh, we are going to get this guy. And there he goes. I promise you, he just fell to his death. Yeah. See? He's not there anymore. My train of thought just fell apart. But yeah, so we play Steam offline mode so that we don't get extra NPCs later on. And it's usually not a big deal to deal with Hodrick, fortunately. He oftentimes just doesn't even want to follow us. We will deal with him in just a moment. I'm occasionally double checking to see when the archer, the giant archer who's landing all these arrows out here, has placed his most recent shot because he loves to double tap. So you're going to see him shoot that man in the door there. He's not shooting us because we chose the young white branch as our starting item. There's the double tap. I also like to get this because it is a small little thing that makes any moment that we have to use Lloyd's Ring later a little bit more comfortable, if I can say words. I can't, but that's okay. So a small little trick, if Hodrick has not followed you up to this point, just to ditch him, is we can dip our pinky toe into this arena. Yoop. And there he goes. Some epic jokes in chat. Love to see it.
I know, people are just making epic jokes. Gamers, just enjoy the run and support the gamer. It's not that hard. In fact, the easiest way and best way you can support the gamer is by going to twitch.tv/JeffOvertime and following Jeff. Is a very comfy, cozy sort of stream. More so than even most of the streams, I would say that streamers that come on my shows, Jeff is very it's very low-key vibe, very chill. And Dark Souls stuff, a lot of variety gaming, so definitely worth a follow in my opinion.
I appreciate that. We try and keep things relatively chill. I know one of the big one of the more common themes that you can see, particularly amongst folks that are new to Dark Souls, is the typical raging sort of thing. I try not to do any of that because if I'm mad, why am I playing the game? But I also understand human emotions. I just have done this enough that I've run out of things to be mad about. So that dog is just
funny way to put it. Run out of things to be mad about.
Realistically, though, we do try and keep things relatively chill. Like I said, I stream after work, so it's the sort of thing that I'm kind of just winding down from work, hanging out, just doing my own thing, and people are very kind and willing to just come and hang out. We are going to use Spook here just to be extra safe because there's a small chance that I could attract the attention of one of those dogs. I don't want to do that. Dogs are very scary. One moment. The AI in Dark Souls is very aggressive at points, to the extent that it is willing to teleport an enemy closer to you if they are off screen and chasing you. So that can mean a dog could just get airdropped onto your head. Very scary, because that counts as a hit. Even if it doesn't do damage, it'll stagger you, and that'll count. So for those of you who know why I'm down here, I'm sorry. For those of you who don't know, I'm also sorry. We're going to wait for this rat to turn around. This is a situation where we're using a little bit of AI awareness, because this rat can see, but also can hear, but he doesn't see so good. So we're just going to do doot, 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 doot. And we're going to scoot behind him and then safely get up this ladder. Hello, fellow humans. I am definitely not a robot. I don't know why you would suggest that.
Jeff is actually our first attempt at putting an AI on Challenger Approaching. They've gotten really good.
This is just the next level of VTubing. Oops.
Yeah, exactly. It's a human avatar.
So this is probably one of the more evil things that we do in the entire run. There is an innocent trapped nun, and we do a little bit of murder because she gives us a key that is worth 20,000 souls, and that is a lot of money. However, that has angered her friend, so what we're going to do now is use Spook and run. Oh, he's so mad. He's coming right for me. While you are opening doors, you have iframes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, chat, I know. Everyone's mad about the nun murder. Who knows?
Well, she has a very sad story to tell.
She sure do. I would say there are a lot of folks in Dark Souls that have a story, and that typically means that they have a sad story, unfortunately.
I think, yeah, there are very few people who are, like, maybe the Onion Knight. He seems happy.
If you complete his quest, you do get it. He does have a good end. It's a still slightly painful end, but he does have a good end. You monster, you're right. So we're gonna leave because Giant Hammerman is very angry at us, and we need to go back that direction. So by leaving, it resets his position, resets his awareness of us. Is there ever a happy story in Dark Souls? Excellent question. The answer is kind of, maybe, depending on what you like, what you want to see, what you want to do. I have to waste a little bit of time here to do something so that I can not be trapped in this cage forever. For those of you who don't know, if you step inside that ring, a loading zone sort of thing, that fog wall will be triggered. I avoided it, so it should be disappearing shortly. But the reason that exists is like technical game dev stuff, essentially. So you need to prevent the player from having too many things loaded at the same time. And so I have to, waste a little bit of time just to wait for it to go away. So we talk to grandma, real grandma, not fake grandma. And then, hey, there we go. That's a tree skip. And we're gonna come up here. I'm getting, what I'm doing now is a small optimization to make sure that I have enough souls later on to make sure that when we do go fight Tony Danza, that we are able to have 39 decks pretty assuredly. Let's see, so we're gonna drop off one of these and one of these. Doink, doink. And that gives us a couple.
In Dark Souls 1 where you have to like close the game and reopen it?
I was a little bit surprised. Even in the Demon Souls remake, you have to do that still. And I understand. Yeah. So to Blue Point's credit, that is from the original game, and Blue Point's motto. Yeah. Blue Point's motto is like, if it was in the original game and is not like breaking of things or stuff, then we want to keep that. If you've never seen the documentary for the remaking of Demon Souls, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a documentary by No-Clip. It's about an hour long and very tasty sort of content. We're also going to burn this undead bone shard so that we have a +1 flask. And then we're going to go back to the Road of Sacrifices. We're going to go get Flynn's Ring and Chloranthy Ring, which will have a little bit more spook-related showcasing, as well as a small, basically the only visit we get to our good friend the Onion Knight. Poke this wall so that I can make him aware of us. Hello. We wait for that attack and then we go. When it comes to hits, the filling up of a bar, like the progress of the bar when it comes to like frostbite and stuff like that, that does not count as a hit. What does count as a hit is like the filling up of that bar, like if I were to actually get frostbite, and it has to come from an enemy. So like I'm about to run through a poison swamp here, not too long from now. That will not count as being hit. So if I were to die from it, then it would count as a hit, but we just will choose to not die. So we're gonna go doop. Use our brief moment to look at our own character and decide that we've made a character that looks like that they have kind of forgotten about their hot pockets in the oven. Let's see. Drop off here. So this is our good friend the Onion Knight. We don't really actually interact with him other than the fact that he will yell at us at some point and potentially cause a bug that can cause a bunch of problems. We will try and be mindful of that. I'm waiting for this demon to not be looking at me, because when this demon looks at me, it's very scary. So he's paused there. Ooh, I don't like that. So I'm going to wait. He knocked something over and then got startled by it, so he looked. Grab this homeward bone. He's pausing so I can run right by. And then we will move onwards. I'm going to go upstairs. I need to change out what bombs I have, and we're going to eventually... Don't let him die. I won't. I promise you I will leave the area before he dies. Realistically, Sigurd, very buff dude, very capable. He gets a bit of a bad rap, but...
People don't like him? Who possibly could dislike him?
It's just more the idea that I think folks tend to view him as a little bit helpless in some cases. What I did there also, for those of you who are wanting to run this, I waited for Sigurd to say his line before engaging these two rage cages, because there's a bug that if you target this left rage cage and then he starts talking, the game will force you to target the back right rage cage instead, which is very bad, because you're likely to miss. We're going to use a small trick that saves an alluring skull. It is very scary, but I promise you it's okay. I'm gonna run away from those wardens, because the wardens want to punch me through the wall. We come up here, we grab Flynn's Ring. For those of you who don't know what Flynn's Ring does, it basically checks your weight against a set weight, and I mean your equip weight. And gives you bonus damage based on how much you have equipped. when we are in hitless, obviously we are using no armor because it doesn't really matter because we don't get any special bonuses by wearing armor. Do a cool hero landing, grab the Chloranthy Ring, and I grabbed this just because it's here. And then Sigurd's still fighting, but we're going to go ahead and use a Homeward Bone, get out of here.
Jeff, I have been asked to ask you about how you got your start in game dev.
How did I get my start in game dev? Interesting. I started making games when I was a wee Jeff. And from there, it was just kind of one of those things that I had to really commit to the idea that that's what I wanted to do. So when I was a young boy, sorry, I have a no singing policy. That's on me. You're allowed to sing. I'm just not. The thing was that I moved out to an area where I didn't know people or anything like that. And I just had like the family computer and, eventually my own computer, but we were very remote from kind of everything. And I just started to like poke and start to figure out how anything worked. So I taught myself a little bit of programming with some people online helping with like W3 schools and all that sort of stuff. Started learning JavaScript, then I learned Java, HTML, all that sort of good stuff. Just started making my own games. As far as like getting into it on a professional level, the real deal was just putting myself out there and continuing to make things and show them to people instead, because that's a big difference. So, finishing things and having finished products to be able to show people and say, hey, I can do this and I can do this too for you if you pay me, which is, a pretty big facet of being able to do something professionally, is getting paid, I suppose. But I started going to GDC, it's the Game Developers Conference, and out in San Francisco, meeting people. I had the fortune of already knowing some people actually through Twitch to some extent. So I was able to meet up with some folks there, and there's also other developers that were just willing to say, hey, I'm going to put out some time if you just want to come by and ask questions about whether it's like game dev or, game design, that sort of thing. I met one of the senior engineers that worked on The Witcher 3 just because he put out a tweet that said, hey, I'll be at GDC. If you want to hang out, just, at me and we'll figure something out, which is extremely kind. And there's definitely a lot of people that are out there that are like that. Obviously be careful in the sense that it's like you're meeting a stranger on the internet, but, feel free to reach out to people. Feel free to reach out to me. You can at me on Twitter. It's Jeff Overtime. If you find Jeff Overtime somewhere, it's probably me. I use the same handle basically everywhere, for better or for worse. But yeah, so other than just making stuff and showing them to people, is just kind of continuing to stick with it. Unusual, but that's okay. And then eventually I was doing that kind of on the side a little bit for a long time. And I put myself in a position where I could be hired like for contract for indie projects as a programmer / designer, because when you're an indie, you kind of do the thing where you wear a bunch of different hats. Because, indie world's small and there's, people need doing stuff. Oh, that was weird. We're going to move right past that dog because he's going to come over and bark at me a bunch. Doot. He didn't actually follow me. Suspicious. Hello. Thank you all who are coming by. I see you in chat, I promise, that are friends and followers, and I've had a lot of people that are supporting me along the way, both in game dev and in running hitless stuff. So, hey, let's put on some rings. We got them, so, why not flaunt them? But yeah, so whether it's, that's been a big facet as well for me being in game dev, was like meeting people that like, hey Ash, what you playing? Used to stream on Twitch quite a bunch. And like, my schedule happened to all line up and I met them through Twitch, and then met them at GDC, and they really convinced me like, hey, you should do game dev professionally. And, I did. So I started doing that, and that was neat. I worked for a small indie studio for a little while I was kind of getting money elsewhere, and eventually just put out a tweet that said, hey, I want to get hired to do this as my main job. And then Naughty Dog reached out to me at the time through my LinkedIn, which they found through my Twitter. That was a big factor, was just having a website with my portfolio that had a link to how to contact me in so many different forms. Yeah, ye old hop days. Good to see you. Oh,
Oh, that was fun.
yeah, that happens sometimes. It's a free sword. It's very scary because sometimes they will not fall to their death, and then you'll just have 2 visitors, which is why I usually just sit at this just to make sure. But we got a little extra souls there, so that's neat. We're going to do some quick stepping, which means I also want this.
And then Naughty Dog is where Jeff and I met, and now Dog is barking, and I'm gonna mute my mic.
Hi, doggy. So this is an area where folks might get confused and say, Jeff, what are you doing? You're covered in poison. That's disgusting. I can't believe you've done this. Also, that probably counts as a hit, right? The answer is no. The poison in the swamp does not count as a hit. That is where damageless is different. You'll see people that will wear a bunch of poison resistant armor to avoid that sort of damage, specifically because that is their kind of run. I want to go faster than that. So we're going to come up here. We're going to wait for this Elder Gru to turn around, think about his life, come on and visit us. It's a very Naughty Dog for barking. Very funny. I see you.
Oh, yeah, LOL.
LMAO.
LMAO. But yeah, it's funny. Like, I feel like we met in the reverse way, which was like work led into Twitch instead.
Yes, very much so. Where it's just like, oh, hey, I know this guy. It was very cool getting to see you move on from shenanigans at Naughty Dog to do your own thing and do like really cool things, and then finding you on Twitch as a like speedrunner and like watching you grow in your own way, and seeing your name listed in so many different places as, you know, top tier Breath of the Wild runner and everything like that. So
Jeff, what the heck?
What the heck, man?
What the heck is this?
What?
Stop it.
No. You can't make me. I guess you can. You can ask me nicely, and I will stop. That's true. How dare you?
Stop being nice to me.
I will come on your own show and be nice to you.
Unacceptable. This isn't the dynamic of this show. It's the other way around.
I was watching another interview show on twitch.tv, and the running joke was essentially that the interviewer was often just basically with all of their guests, they end up just getting interviewed by their own guest instead. So, you know.
There are some interview shows where I kind of like that dynamic because I think oftentimes when the guest asks questions of the interview, they wind up actually like reversing in a way. Like the interviewer winds up, or when the guest asks questions, you actually find out more about the guest in the interview kind of at the same time.
You kind of reverse Uno card, that sort of business.
Yeah,
which is neat. Ooh. I can hit these fires with my face if I wanted to. I don't, but that does not count as a hit. That is an environmental thing. Am I skipping a lot of bosses? No, I will be. So you could sort of see on my list, some of them have a, this isn't any percent, not all bosses. So I'll be skipping a handful of bosses. However, there's a bunch of key bosses that you've got to get down. So we're moving right on to Watchers. Before we get Watchers, we're going to get a bunch of Titanites so that we can get our wind blades up to +4 sharp, which I already have the coal for, so we'll be good from that. This is another situation where Spook is much more comfortable, by the way, because if I didn't have Spook here, I'd have to be very precarious and do a lot of watching of this Gru, because he could turn around and get me good.
Yeah, so there, also a beauty with especially Dark Souls 3 is that there's like so much warping available to you from the shrine bonfire that, Jeff obviously can like sort of go out of his way to get to a place he will eventually have to get to. And also, collect items on the way and then just go back when he's ready.
I have a shout out to anyone who does DS1, because there's a bunch of chaos related to DS1. Challenge runs of any kind, I've done Soul Level 1 and Deathless for that. And I gotta say, doing Hitless for DS1 seems kind of scary. There's definitely people that have done it, obviously, but it's just like, there's a lot more random things that could potentially get you in DS1, it seems like, to me at least. So, but definitely a thing that I like DS3 for the amount of control I feel like I have in the run. There's not as much RNG to worry about. There's definitely still some, but there's oftentimes an explanation for why anything happened. Like when I got hit to Vort earlier, I definitely goofed. That's on me. It's almost impossible for me to have done that, but I did it anyway because I wanted to show you, hey, you know what? It's okay to mess up sometimes. Speaking of messing up, we're going to come up here and we're going to see where some poor artist has to see every time that this ledge does not have verts on all sides.
I do sometimes, like, after working in QA and then going back to speedrunning, I'm like, you know, I have such a different appreciation for bugs now than I used to.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just like, I'm like, oh, I feel bad.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's tons of stuff, maybe not as many speedrunning glitches, but like big things where people are like, oh my God, like this region unloads. They don't use those words, but you know, this region unloads. And I'm like, guys, there almost certainly someone bugged this. And it was too late in development for them to do anything about it.
Yeah. One of my favorite.
Like the answer half the time.
Exactly. One of my favorite things from a GDQ some time ago was involving Psychonauts. And they were talking about some skip that that the runner was trying to work on that they couldn't quite figure out how to avoid, essentially some region trigger, I believe. And one of the developers from the game chimed in and about how they had intentionally made that region something like 10,000 units tall so that you wouldn't be able to jump over it. And it was like, well, okay, why not?
Why not?
I saw a question in chat. Any percent but no out of bounds skips. Hitless does not allow for out of bounds, so we are not allowed to do things like the no load Farron swamp. Which is possible if you ever watch a speed run of hitless. I'm sorry, or a speed run of Dark Souls, including hitless runs, you will probably not see that as frequently. But in general, the speedrunners might use the Farron swamp skit, which just basically prevents enemies and such from loading within that area. You put your character in a certain position, convince the game, hey, I'm here now, and then you restart the game by putting out to menu, and then. You know, magic and video games and smoke and mirrors and don't look behind there.
There's a question in chat for me.
Oh, wow.
It says, what would you say your favorite / most interesting bug you've encountered? It's a really difficult question to answer. I feel like as a tester, there was lots of cool stuff that I saw. Also being able to like peek behind the curtain for 2 projects was like super cool because you just learn a lot more about the actual process and it gives you a way bigger appreciation for it all. But as a speedrunner, I don't know. I'm kind of a pushover for Zelda stuff, but like Ocarina of Time is a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful thing. And RBA, in my opinion, Reverse Bottle Adventure is my favorite glitch. It's just all about, you know, a deep understanding of the inventory management system going on behind the scenes in Ocarina of Time, and it's really cool. AGDQ starts on January 9th.
Hell yeah. Don't forget to check that out for sure. I know that is one of my favorite things to have on while I'm working. I do a lot of lurking in Twitch chats while I work. So y'all out there streamers keeping me company while I'm making video games, and I appreciate you. Because also, that's definitely a thing that keeps me sane.
Gamers, I just couldn't help but notice that so many of you are not following Jeff on Twitch. And quite frankly, that's an insult to me. You know, when you invite somebody into your home, you expect all of the people that live in that home to be courteous hosts. And I consider all of you, the viewers, to be, you know, we live here. You and I'm here all the time. You're here all the time. And Jeff is our guest, and quite frankly, you not following him is on par with, you know, not take. I don't know what's a hosting faux pas.
You came into my home. You just dragged your shoes all over my couch.
Yeah, there you go. So please follow Jeff on Twitch. Let's see if we can't get this man to 1,000 follows. Huh? Maybe, possibly? Question mark?
That sounds bonkers, but I'm always down for a challenge, as it were.
Watch yourself, counselor. But I'll allow it.
The big thing for me on Twitch has always been a thing of like making sure that folks feel like they are able to talk to me, ask me questions, things like that. So if you ever want to know more about hello, I see my girlfriend in chat. What was I saying? Oh, just that folks feel like they can come by, ask me questions about what I'm doing, about game dev in general. Game Jeff, indeed. So we've got. I'm sorry, I'm running multiple lists in my head at the moment to be like, did I forget something? The answer is maybe. But we'll find out in a moment. I've got my bombs. I've got everything that a man could want. So we're gonna go onwards. But yeah, so please feel free to come by, make yourself cozy. I always stream 7:30 to 11:30 PST. I know that's a little bit late for folks, but it is me getting off of work, rapidly shoving a sandwich in my face, and then just popping online to play some video games. We've been doing all manner of different things, from Dark Souls to Luigi's Mansion to we've got some stuff upcoming that I have not announced yet that I'm excited about. There's stuff planned for whenever I get this run. We will, of course, be doing things like Elden Ring, because Elden Ring hype. The hope is that I will have this run done before then. I'm currently on track based on my metrics to do that, but we'll see. I'm the girlfriend, smile.
No, I'm the girlfriend.
I'm Spartacus.
Smile. I'm Spartacus.
I'm giving these dudes a wide berth because they can be real weird and sometimes can turn around and aggro from a very, very far away position. So I even use Spook to make sure that I can avoid what's happening here, essentially. This man's going to chase me. It's very scary, but we're going to drop him off with a friend because we have a backup babysitter, Gru, which is this man here. And when we go this way, everything's fine. Just going to pop in, do a little bit of management of my inventory. I will occasionally remove additional things that I'm holding because I am using Flynn's Ring, particularly early on in this part of the run. Damage is calculated fairly aggressively. And there's opportunities for changes, obviously, but there's optimal things that could happen. Like, I can technically 2-cycle this boss based on my amount of damage. Will I get a chance to? We'll see. Camera, hello.
Good luck.
Thanks. So I will talk a little bit more about this boss after I do it. Heck, that was a little bit of bad RNG. That's on me to have watched that a little bit more cleanly, but that's okay. We can tag him so that he comes towards us because I don't want them that close. We pop a look, so we see we cannot do the follow-up punish, but Reddit is coming in hot. He's got words to be said. We'll see if he gets a chance to say them. Get him, buddy. Nope, you're okay. Awkward. Maybe they'll hurt each other. Hey, there we go. All right, so blue is getting up too, but we have time to do this. Okay, so we do have one hit on this split currently. I've counted that. Try and keep up a little bit better with you cats. Just to make sure. We're a little bit close to the spawn, so we're going to roll away. Throw a bomb to kickstart his AI. Run away from this. Roll that. Dip a toe in to see if he wants to follow up. He didn't because, you know, RNG. RNG and I are not friends. Oh, no follow-up. Wow. Saved by the corpse pile. This man does not want to follow up on a combo at all. Fortunately, he did something that requires no combo. My nose itches. 1/, he rolls, we roll with. Oh, no. Heck. I goofed my spin. That's okay. No more fancy business because we already got hit once. Boink. Not even kind of a clean
nice.
Watchers, but that's okay. I'll take it. We move onwards.
I would say most gamers that have played Abyss Watchers would say 2 is pretty good.
So there's what happened in the first bit. There was I forgot to start this animation. what happened there, unfortunately, was I put myself in between a rock and a hard place, and I should have been a little bit more careful, because the idea is that I wanted to do enough damage to summon both red and blue simultaneously, which makes, sorry, red and blue. One of the watchers has red eyes. He will attack anyone in the arena. Blue is just the normal guy, and then there's the boss. So red and blue, in ideal timing, will fight each other. However, that doesn't mean that you are not impervious to getting collateral damage. Drink. We're going to run down here. We're going to run a relatively straight line and then do some basketball. There was recently another strategy discovered for watchers that will prevent the other two watchers from getting up. It is very cool, but also very difficult in my opinion. So I opt to not do it. But essentially the breakdown for that strategy is you stab them once in the butt, and then you run immediately towards the very back of the room, and you fight on a like 5 meter by 3 meter square or rectangle. I know my shapes. Who says I don't? So we're going to do a little bit of basketball now. Let's bear with me as I line up my shot. I say basketball, it's really more golf. Two out of three, not awful, not awful. Let's see if we can get that third one. Alley-oop. Got it. I recently discovered a thing that you can do that I'm not going to do right now because I want to just use the bombs because I got them because it's safer. I could have used spook there and then just dropped down here. Because of how AI awareness works and the volume trigger being here, the rat would come to about here and then just stand there. So yeah, I don't do the pot sledge jump, no, because I'm coming over here for CBR. For those of you who do not know, Karthus Blood Ring gives you an additional 4 iframes at this equip weight, which is nice because more iframes means it's slightly less likely for you to get hit. Because you don't know what an iframe is, and it's an invulnerability frame. Yeah, we got them Kobe shots. Fortunately, I'm on my game today when it comes to throwing bombs a little bit, but thank you for the reminder to update my splits. I see.
It was 2 hits on Abyss, I think.
Oh, you're right. I will go back and fix that. I just saw the thing that's like, hey, he didn't update his splits. And the answer is you're right. I didn't. Appreciate you helping me keep track when I'm busy running my mouth.
I'm keeping an ever watchful eye.
I have the one brain cell and it's vibrating as fast as it can. So we're going to do a little bit of AI trickery here where we use sound to lure this guy over. Hope he doesn't get stuck there in that corner. He didn't. Beautiful. I love that for us. If they get stuck in the corner, they don't have the ability to turn so good, so they can just get stuck here forever like this. If they do, you throw a bomb and then be ready because they can animation skip and then start coming at you real hot, real fast. Because they will skip their wind up into the roll and will just start immediately rolling at you. I'm hitting in specific spots to try and get this guy without getting his friend because we could potentially get both, and that's bad. Not unmanageable, but I don't feel like clenching that much today. I saw a successful hitless streamer tell me that they are convinced that clenching reduces your hitbox. This is a situation where spook comes in handy because we can just do this because this guy isn't aware of us.
So can you tell me, as you progress here, a little bit about your weapon choice?
So the Sellsword Twin Blades, yoink, are, sorry, dodging Nickelodeon time. The Sellsword Twin Blades are kind of definitively one of the best weapons you can use for hitless. Mathematically, it's very easy on your route to get S scaling by getting the sharp gem earlier on, as we already did. So we currently have sharp +4 twin blades. They're also very easy to pick up. There's even a starting class that starts with them, if you so desire that and do not want spook or want to get spook later. The idea is, in my run, the way I build out my set is that I want to do all the damage. So if I do all the damage fast enough, they will be very keen on exploding. and that makes it much harder for them to hit me. So we lean heavily into Dex because Dex gives us more agility, which is handy. Fun fact, you can just scare this bug through a wall. There you go. And we'll get a free fire gem for that. Collision is a suggestion in video games. Train of thought. That was another showcase of Spook, which is why I like it. It just makes the run a little bit more cozy. We're breaking that bridge so that we don't get a skeleton rave party. At least not yet. Next Dark Souls 3 run is Damageless run. Damageless is a fun category as far as I can tell. It is a little slower paced than I personally like. So we're going to go in here. We're going to fight Wolnir. What do we need for Wolnir? We don't need this staff. We don't need this. We're going to go ahead and equip one of these and one of these. I'm doing something off to the side just in case of shenanigans. Take a bit of a whiskey drink and then jump right in here. Yeah, there's a lot of little situations where you can startle one of the lizards and they will just run right off of a cliff for you, which is handy. For those of you who are curious about Wolnir strats, I do the his right, our left first. I'll explain why in a moment.
Did you equip the ring?
No, I shouldn't need it.
Where?
It's a little sketchy, but they turned out okay. Oh, walkie time. Sometimes Wolnir likes to go for a walk. We just go walk with him. It's okay. Give me your hand. Oh my goodness. All the slams. If you can grab this book and then touch the back wall, you win the game. You can almost make it. But you gotta believe. I never do it. I'm too slow. I'm sorry.
I'm so sad.
That's okay. But yeah, so equipping CBR is a good thing to do. This is Karthus Blood Ring. It increases your iframes at the cost of having more, you take more damage. Your absorption rate gets reduced. On this run, technically we end up gaining a negative absorption rate, which means that some attacks will just do a bunch of extra damage. And that is kind of a bummer, but the idea is not getting hit. So we're doing that. And that is Wolnir down. Wolnir is usually pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Sitting here because I accidentally pushed A. But yeah, come on and slam. We're now going to be working towards Tony Danza. However, before we go fight Tony Danza, we are going to get a few more. Gonna get a few more rocks so that we can upgrade our swords. We will go and fight Dancer at +7, and we will be using Dark Pine Resin, or Human Pine Resin, sorry, specifically. The idea with Spook here is that I can negate a bunch of fall damage and take this area a little bit quicker. Also, if I do Spook, there's a small chance that I will not be chased by any of these skeletons because they just will not become aware of me. I think I'm going to have 0 of them. Nice. Also, I just realized I didn't turn on the game music for you. I'm so sorry. Let me do that in after I complete this section. Why right hand before left? So I do his right hand because I'm able to clear a single, the single bracelet hand. And that is nice for me mentally. Because then I can focus only on the one hand and his torso, and it becomes just fewer things for me to track. I have to keep an eye on this ballista because it wants to shoot me and it's going to try really hard. I'm going to take this a little bit safe because I was slightly late to that pickup. So we're going to stand here instead of getting that pickup. We want both. This is an area where it can get a little weird when it comes to collision because there's a lot of little things that seem like they should protect you but won't. 2. particularly since there are loading zones within this area. What is a loading zone? A loading zone is when you step into a specific spot and the game decides, hey, I need to load other parts of the game based on where you are. We're ignoring this lizard in favor of the other one because it has the goodies we actually care about. But I have seen one of those arrows go straight through what is definitively a wall in a safe area. And the reason for that was because the collision had not yet loaded. So if you go too fast, too quick, sometimes it gets real spooky. Don't let your dreams be dreams. You know what, Ballista Guy? I believe in you. But yeah, so all of our equipment is fairly intentional. There are definitely people using unique weapons. I know people that are using shield only. I know people that are doing soul level 1 hitless, no infusions, no upgrades. I think I said shields only, fists only. However you want to do it. There's no wrong way to enjoy that. Is that Jeff? It is. It is the one and only. All of the Jeffs are also me. So I'm just kind of listening here a little bit and making sure that all 3 of those arrows go out, because if I don't, then I could potentially catch one of them and I don't want to. So we're gonna run this way a little bit. I'm keeping an eye on them because sometimes those blisters... Sometimes those arrows come out and don't make a noise, which is really scary to me personally, considering the size of a bus. Oh, lasers. Unfortunate. So what happened there was I was a little bit slow to that, I think. But that's okay. It means we got to do a little bit of rerunning. I'm not too worried about it. I want to break this bridge again.
I'm not worried about it either.
Yeah. It's a little unfortunate because that is a thing that I can usually do blindly. But sometimes the giant snake worm thing does not want to participate. I do not enjoy Smoldering Lake. There are routes that do not include Smoldering Lake as part of its pathing. However, those routes are a little bit more risky in my experience. So I am being followed by a skeleton, so we get to hang out with one of them. Blocking is also not allowed, by the way. And only perfect parries are allowed. So we're going to repath this exactly the way I was doing it before without going into the bonus cave. Reminded that those dudes get up after they die once. Why destroy the bridge? Because violence is sometimes fun in video games. 2... That's 3, so we're just going to run directly for this. Yoink. We run over to that, listen to the sound of our footsteps hitting dirt. And usually that's where we can stop sprinting. I've lost my orientation. Not great. So what we're going to do is repath backwards. I'm missing my landmark, unfortunately, because my landmark is the item that we picked up on the ground earlier. We should be okay now. Because there's my stuff. So what we're going to do now is run this way. Watch the ballista to do its thing. I'm gonna get a little bit of vengeance. Partly because it'll make it easier to get my stuff back. I desperately need those souls. There's quite a few of them there. So we're gonna take a brief moment and just let's see. Just have us a good little sit, enjoy. If you've never done this part, it is the ballista will be hitting the worm. Eventually it'll die and it'll give us a bunch of extra stuff, which would be nice. I don't need to do this part, but I do want to safely get my souls. Takes a little bit of time. Did he die? I did. I caught a laser to the face, that one. Usually it doesn't aim so close to himself. Game is lagging, or is it you? Might be you.
Jeff, how you feeling at this point? How we
I'm
feeling?
doing okay. A little bit bummed that I'm taking such easy hits, but such is the way of things. I always try and maintain some idea that it's like there's always room to improve, always room to learn. But generally feeling okay. The sort of thing that I knew I wasn't going to get a PB, and that was okay. Oh. That was a situation where it went precisely where it needed to go. Unfortunate. The worm is, however, dead. But I do need to probably load a save state for that, because that is a situation where I just lost a bunch of souls. Normally that would be a huge reset.
How would you feel about taking a wee break here and setting that up in the break?
I could do that. That sounds great. Give us a 5 to stay hydrated. All that sort of good stuff. Stretch your bones.
Excellent, gamers. We will be right back with more Challenger Approaching, more GDQ hotfix, and more Jeff Overtime Dark Souls 3 hitless in just a moment. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back, literally moments from now. Just get up, stretch your legs, get some water, and we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Hello, gamers. Welcome back to the GDQ hotfix. This is Challenger Approaching. We're gonna get right into it here. Jeff, you ready?
Yes.
All right.
Let's go do a video game.
2, 1, resume. Okay, gamers, as Jeff plays here, I'm going to give some really quick announcements. So, gamers, there has been a slight schedule change, and tonight we will still be having Legally Cute after this show, but then after that we will also be queuing right into the English restream for the Japanese Mega Man X event. So there's lots of speedrunning content on GDQ tonight. It was a little bit of a scheduling mishap, like I said, but we are excited to have more content this evening, so stay tuned for a lot of awesome stuff. And also, if you miss out on any GDQ hotfix shows, check out our archive of past runs and shows at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. And we're back into it. Just before the break, Jeff had a tragic death to the ballistaman. But we, before the run, set up some safety saves on a different file just in case, because this is an incredibly difficult challenge run that Jeff is performing for you all. This is a proper showcase. There's no resets. It's just as few hits as possible. And so the worm is back because this is technically like a different save, right? But
Correct.
We just had to do a quick thing so that the run can actually finish in an orderly manner. But gamers, get your hype out for Jeff, because the boy's back.
We back in it. That's how that's supposed to go every time. But Worm decided he wanted to participate this time and not last time. So, it'd be that way. I will say I've been doing this for a little while, and I also love watching other people do this. And it's the sort of thing that I am glad that I do, in the sense that I learn so much just from other people's runs, in the sense that it's like, oh, I didn't know that could happen, or, so on and so forth. Like, I have seen someone, a runner, get to this bonfire, not immediately grab it, light it, sit down, and caught a ballista through this wall. Which could happen. You just got to be wary. The real deal is get in here, get safe. And know, ideally, if you can, know why that happened. Because what happened in that case was the collision hadn't loaded in yet, so the arrow didn't care. New save food is.
New save food is. I would encourage all of you guys, though, if you are enjoying the stream, if you are enjoying the run, I cannot recommend Jeff's stream enough, especially for those of us that love Soulsborne content, myself included. So please do give Jeff a follow. Give the man the big push.
So essentially, I will be doing Souls content for the rest of my life for all intents and purposes. That's got to be Gino. You right. Gino Machino was the one that caught that ballista arrow. But yeah, the I love Souls games. I grew up on Castlevania, Metroid, all that sort of stuff. So they really instilled in me a love for exploration, dangerous exploration in games. So it became just one of those things that Dark Souls is I think a good culmination of that in a very modern sense. So very much enjoying what we have to offer here in games like Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight, easily one of my top 10 games in the last decade. Forgetting things, leveling up, buying stuff. Let's do that. So yeah, definitely a thing that I could easily see me doing a lot more Souls related content. We are going to get precisely 1 human pine resin. What else do I need? How am I doing on bombs? I have 3 bombs. Let's get a few more. Fire bombs are not to be underrated in hitless runs or in challenge runs of any kind or in Dark Souls as a whole. Your consumables are your friends. Let's see. So we're going to level up. Ideally, we will be hitting about 39 to 40 dex. So there's 39, which is going to be a requisite that we hold for Dancer, who we're going to go fight now. I have no choice now. Oh no.
Is 39 the soft cap?
No, soft cap is technically 40. We will push beyond that at some point, but it's just a matter of for the pattern that we follow in, or the pattern that I follow in this upcoming fight, it is very good to have at least 39 dex to potentially allow for skipping the second phase of Dancer, because I don't want to do that. It's scary. There's a lot of knives, things like that. So we will get up there and then do a small bit of preparation, and then we'll jump right in. Watch for this man and his spear. There's a dude with an arrow.
Jeff, I don't know about you. I mean, you were talking about kind of some of the reasons you love the Souls games, but you know, the big thing for me, obviously it's such a unique gameplay experience in combat and exploration. Mm-hmm. But I am just a sucker for architecture.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, this whole series is a love letter to Gothic architecture. Mm-hmm. And Gothic architecture is my favorite style. Besides maybe Art Nouveau and Art Deco, but I adore the environments. And in my opinion, FromSoft have the best skyboxes in the business.
Yeah, definitely a thing that you can find plenty to admire. There's not hardly any areas in Dark Souls 3 that it doesn't look, in Dark Souls 3 in particular, but also all the Souls games in general, that it's just like, yeah, this is really pretty. And it's in Souls in general too, you have that bonus bit where it's like, oh, if I can see it, I could probably go there.
Which is my favorite thing in video games, is seeing something in the distance and knowing I can go there.
Absolutely. Absolutely love that. And seeing, like, trying to figure out how to get there, you know, what have you. But as you're saying that, it's just like, even this arena, this is an arena. It's just like, look at that. Look how beautiful that is. So definitely a thing that was admittedly some level of influence for what we were, when I was choosing between Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3 in particular, of like, what do I want to do? So it's a very pretty game, very much enjoy it. And also in like Bloodborne has some really wonderful architecture and really entrancing areas. I know everyone's hoping for that Bloodborne remake so that we can get the modern era version of that prettiness, that scariness, eldritch horror.
I want Bloodborne 2.
Bloodborne 2, I'm kind of in that camp for sure. I would not be mad about a Bloodborne remake, but
me neither.
Yeah, but definitely would prefer Bloodborne 2. So we're gonna do a little Dancer. See how this goes.
I really liked this boss casually.
Avoid the command grab. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got him.
Very nice.
Thanks. That could have gone slightly better, just in the sense that I could have gotten a stagger in there. I could have gotten, all that sort of extra comfort, but that's what we want that 39 dex for, really. You can fall below that, but there's some potential that you can get like just a little bit more in there just to make it a little bit simpler. So some puckering going on in chat. That's kind of how this run just goes as a whole. Updating splits, I've done it now.
It's interesting. Like, I feel like when I play a Souls game, probably my biggest flaw in casual playthroughs is that if I get the boss down to a sliver of health, I can't help myself.
Oh,
like, I have to go back in.
Agreed.
But it's the self-control, I think, to know, okay, well, there's an attack coming. I should back off for a second and come back in for that last slice.
For sure. There's definitely a lot of situations where you can greed, but there's many, many more where you cannot. I'm currently waiting for him to turn back around. There we go. But yeah, definitely a thing. Like, particularly once we get to like Cinder, all that sort of good stuff. You could easily be in a situation where greed will get you done, and in a bad way. I precast Spook a little bit just so that I can make sure that I am not audible, ideally up to here. This guy's given us a little bit of good RNG and is just gonna hang out there in that little cubby, which is nice. But these guys can be a little spooky with if you're not timing yourself right. This is where routing comes in handy down to the the second. I'm talking to a speedrunner, of course, so you know exactly what I mean. Where it's just like, yeah, sometimes you need to be really on it, otherwise you're going to have to deal with something on the fly, and that's the scariest thing. The more you can plan, the more I
sometimes talk about it in the sense of like. If I'm doing a grind for a short game, especially, the more situations I can put myself in failed attempts, the better, the stronger I will be for my one successful attempt, because I will have seen all the possible paths.
Exactly.
And so I will have the opportunity to know what decisions to make when I fail things.
Exactly. And that's particularly true, I think, when you get to something like a hitless run, where you could potentially be in a situation where you are on one of those later splits like DSA or Princess or something like that. It's like, okay, I didn't get the RNG I wanted from DSA's attack pattern. What do I do now that I have to deal with phase 2? And like having that be clean and be something that you're ready for is super important. Gino Machino is a successful hitless runner and is a good tutor for people wanting to do hitless runs. Has a bunch of videos out there. Is also one of the verifiers for DS3 on Team Hitless. But one of his philosophies that he gave me that I very much agree with was the idea that you should be ready for phase 2, even though you're planning to not do phase 2. And like, as simple as that it's just like, okay, cool. I'll learn how to do phase 2 Dancer, learn how to do phase 2 DSA, all that sort of good stuff. Waiting for these Silver Knights to go away, because they smell funny. I do a lot of little things on my run that help try and buffer me in small different ways. Other runners may be a little bit faster, but I'm trying to just get this done because, like I said, this is a thing I do casually in my own time. There's definitely folks who are much more experienced about Dark Souls than I am. One of the downsides, I think, of playing DS3 hitless in Steam offline mode is that you don't get to count the hours unless you just count them yourself, because Steam's just like, you've never played this game. This is your first time playing this game ever. So I have no idea how much experience I actually have, other than I guess how many hours I've been streaming it on Twitch. This guy is giving me some sass, but he'll come over to me eventually. I don't want to deal with him and the archer.
Someone I could throw in a that they're sad they didn't see the start of the run. Well, gamer, did you know that you can frequently see attempts at twitch.tv/JeffOvertime?
It's true.
It's actually functionally true.
Mondays and Tuesdays are our Dark Souls days. So we do Dark Souls 3 hitless runs, go for PB attempts. I got a new PB this past Monday, Tuesday, something. No, it was Tuesday, definitely Tuesday. My game just crashed? Question mark? Hello? Nope. It just lost focus. We're good. Are you still with me?
Yes, we can still hear and see you.
That was weird. I've never had that happen. Dark Souls just minimized on my computer. So we're good now. Everything's fine. Just don't look into it too much. But yeah, so definitely a thing that I will continue doing this. I don't plan on giving up on Dark Souls until we get this run. After that, I have plans for other types of challenge runs, including more things for Dark Souls, as well as other games, which we'll go into that when we cross that bridge.
Somebody in chat is asking both of us, what's your favorite lore story for Dark Souls? I'll let you go first.
Oh, that's a hard question. Lore story for like any of them? Oh boy.
Yeah, I think it could either be like piece of lore or background lore, like an individual storyline. Any of those, I think, is fine.
Give me 2 seconds to think about that while I run for my life.
Sure.
Scary running section is kind of scary in the sense that collision is fake. Oh, I don't know. There's a weird part of me that really enjoys Lucatiel's story in DS2. For those of you who are curious, I am a DS2 enjoyer. Come at me.
I like DS2 also.
Yeah, DS2.
All 3 games are wonderful.
True. I know there's the DS2 gets some flack and everything like that. I think it's a perfectly fine game.
I mean, like, when I played it, I played all 3 for the first time within the last, like, 14 months.
Wow, really?
And when I played Dark Souls 2, I definitely understood where some of the criticism was coming from.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine, Patty, often says, people dislike Dark Souls 2. I'm paraphrasing here, but people dislike Dark Souls 2 because they're comparing an 8 out of 10 game to a 10 out of 10 game.
Sure, I think that's fair.
But they act like it's a 2 out of 10 just because it's a little bit worse. But I thought that it was a really great game.
Yeah. So that's definitely a thing. But as far as the question goes, as far with respect to like lore and what have you, I do enjoy Lucatiel's story. Of course, it's a sad story, but all of them are. So what else is new? Who buttered this? There we go. Sorry, someone buttered a suit of armor. It's very rude. I do enjoy the Onion Knight story in DS3. Partly because it was the only one that I actually organically completed in my first casual run of DS3.
Up through Yorm.
Yeah, like I like doing that fight with Yorm and having him show up and be like, "Yorm, my old friend, it's time to fulfill my oath." And I'm just like, "What do you mean?"
Time to go to the wiki. Time to learn what the heck everybody's talking about.
I had a vague idea of what was going on because I in my first casual run of Dark Souls, I love lore in games like this in particular. So it's just like give me that story. I will be going through on my channel for those of you who want to learn more about this sort of thing. I will be going through on my channel and doing a playthrough of Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, just talking about the story. Doing very casual, just like we're gonna go through and everything's gonna be fine and it's okay if we get hit or die or whatever. Do a meme build, who knows. But it's been requested of me that we talk about the story, at least in some respect, because I threw that skull poorly, so I had to dodge there. Part of it is I just love the story in general. It is an interesting story in depth, and it is a thing that constantly bothers me, that I don't know it in its entirety. Threw that a little bit weird, so we're gonna see how this goes. Yep. Dodge. We're good. Managing stamina, cool explosions, but we don't look because we are also cool. Can I get the animation skip? Yep. Doink. Okay, so Glitch Knight. Oh, he attacked. Good. The Silver Knight I just passed on the right, I commonly refer to as Glitch Knight because he likes to be very glitchy. And in the way that he's currently following us, but he will give up shortly. We are coming over here to pick up a ring because I like rings and I have more fingers. So bring Vati with you. I would love to. I often cite folks like Vati Vidya and Loki Souls and whatnot Shout out to those folks who have come ahead of me in the regards of Dark Souls lore. I'm walking through here because this man could load in almost at any given time. And when I say load in, there he is. Ha 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 ha. This is a problem. Adef, it's your turn for your favorite story while I figure out what to do with this night.
Okay. I'm gonna cop out. So I have played Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. And I've definitely dove into the lore wiki on all the games after playing them, especially. Like when I finish the game, then I feel comfortable diving in so as not to spoil anything for myself. And I feel like none of the games really captured this like weird mystic feeling as much as Bloodborne did for me. So my sort of low-key cop-out answer is just the story behind Bloodborne.
Sure.
Like why the hunt exists, what is up with the cursed blood, all that stuff I find so utterly fascinating. And, you know, not to mention the like amygdala and Mikolash. Like there's just so much interest. So my cop-out answer is the entirety of Bloodborne. That's my answer.
That is fair. That is so I was only parsing that question as Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. By the way, I don't normally ride this elevator all the way down, but Glitch Knight is doing Glitch Knight things, as someone pointed out in chat, and it's just like, well, we're gonna see if we can get really far away from him and unload his AI at least a little bit. If not, I'm going to panic and scream, and we're gonna just roll with that and pretend like I do that every time. So you know, where is he though? Is he here? We'll find out. Kind of spinning my camera because I forgot which direction is forward. Oh ho ho, is he gone? Oh ho ho ho. I trust nothing, so we're spooking. But yeah, the entire story of Bloodborne is very good. Yo, what's up, Glitch Knight? Bye. That is you can throw in a alluring skull to prevent that entirely, but your economy in Dark Souls 3 Hitless revolves around alluring skulls by and large, as well as your souls. Because you can only get so many alluring skulls up until you get to patches, of course. In this run, I do get early patches, so that'll be nice. But the fact that we had to deal with this guy being so brave and coming right at us is indicative of one of the things that you have to sacrifice. Because instead of making that chill and relaxed every time, sometimes you just got to deal with a little bit of weird RNG. Train of thought as to what I'm doing with my life. We are getting to +9. We're also going to do some leveling up and all that sort of good stuff. But yeah, Bloodborne, great story. That'll be part of our lore run. That will finish out my lore exploration and all that sort of stuff for Dark Souls and the Soulsborne series. I was not planning on doing Sekiro. I do love Sekiro, but I also only recently played it. It came out when we were developing T2, so I was kind of like, I don't feel like I have the time to sink my teeth into that until somewhat recently, at which point I did, and it was great.
T2 is The Last of Us Part 2 for those of us.
Did I say
around that? You said T2, you said the project name. And I was sorry. Like, I don't know that many people are going to know what that is.
I think I've seen it around, particularly in the speedrunning circles.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Whoops. Just enforced my dagger, wasting a handful of souls. Not a big deal. But we have a +1 dagger now, so that's neat. The RNG manipulation, not known by many, which is just really an excuse.
Of course.
So I have purchased some fire bundles and fire resins. I refilled my skull count, I think, because we need a few. So we're going to double check that I did that, because if I don't have those alluring skulls, the next section is going to get really weird really fast. We're going to level up because, you know, stronger is better. I was in Terminator 2, very confirmed. It was actually a running joke that I was in The Last of Us 2 twice because the actor, Jeffrey Wright, is in The Last of Us 2 as well. So...
Who did he play? Wait, hang on.
He was Isaac.
Who did Jeffrey Wright play in T2?
Yeah, he was Isaac from FOB.
Oh my god, he totally was?
Yeah. I
don't know how I didn't put that together.
There's a lot of folks that don't quite notice it immediately. Some folks will catch on. Particularly, I had a friend reach out to me that was just like, "This guy sounds really familiar," and I think it was I think they either brought it up or I brought it up that it's like, hey, do you remember you remember Westworld? I'm being called an ass by a dear friend. Love you too. But yeah, this sort of thing that it was a fun, just like little fun little goof as a double credit that it's like, no, I promise they're two different people. We're very different. I've never met the man. I'm sure he's wonderful. What am I doing? We're going to go fight Crystal Sage, which means we're going to go to the Crucifixion Woods. Was Logic in T2? I believe that's the case. I believe there was some last minute kind of arrangements to have him be a person. I don't remember whomst. But I do remember that name going around quite a bit while I was hammering away at the other parts of the video game. So for Sage.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. Sorry.
My favorite Naughty Dog performance, and I adore it. Not only because TLL is my baby. I love TLL so much. But
Lost Legacy, for those of you who've not played Uncharted.
Yes, Uncharted: The Last Legacy. Usman Ali as Asav.
Very
Asav
good.
is just, I love Asav. Such a good villain.
Yeah. The whole of the cast of Uncharted definitely has a lot of big names in it, and I think that's an amazing one to really bring that out to highlight that it's just like, oh yeah, did you want someone that's evil? Because we got that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to chill here for 2 seconds because that man can shoot magic into the arena even though he won't join us. But once he's calmed down, we can go fight a wizard. We're going to do that. Okay. I think he's calmed down. I will probably end up doing this in 2 phases. We'll see. Missed that last swing. That's okay. So those crystal formations tell me that he's going to be over here. This is just a pattern that you memorize. Yep. And there he goes. We just do enough damage here that we don't have to worry about that being a problem. It's a little dangerous to do what I just did. I happen to know exactly where this bonfire is going to be. If you are planning on doing these sorts of runs or just in general, be careful about standing on the bonfire. Because there's a known bug that is more prevalent at like the end of the game. The idea is though that if you stand directly where the bonfire spawns, you can get shot through the floor because something is spawned on top of you and you are in its way and it's going to try and figure out where you should go. But you don't always go where you want to go. So, yeah.
So Jeff, I imagine, you've done a lot of exploration in the run thus far. Is your route sort of like, go really far in a bunch of directions, get some bonfires, and then just do like a gauntlet of bosses?
No, these are very specific as far as order of operations. If you'll bear with me 2 seconds.
Sure.
The idea was just listening. The idea is essentially that like you can kind of shuffle your order depending on what you're wanting to do, particularly if you're doing all bosses. There's a certain order that can definitely make things easier for you. I always say that I stand on the shoulders of giants in regards to these sorts of runs because there's a lot of people that are out there that have done this before that have guides. Bomb goes out. I missed. We're going to be really scared right now. And we're going to run. I'm doing a dangerous and listening and watching and everything's fine. Oh boy. Oh, that's that thing we don't want. Oh, so I missed my bomb throw there. Turns out it was fine, but what you did see there was, if you could see right... Oh my God, where did you come from? That counts as a hit. So me trying to do a tutorial, I caught an arrow with my teeth. Step 1 of the tutorial, don't do that. We do not start as deprived. I start as assassin. You can start as assassin, you can start as mercenary. You can start as deprived if you want to do an SL1. Everything is clenched. Yeah, I goofed there and then managed to get through the goof and then instead found a new way to goof because why not? Did that hit not count? There we go. Yeah, but I was trying to show off that there was a teleporting dog there, and that's just because the only reason it can happen that they'll teleport is because you can't see them, or the game thinks you can't see them. So he teleported from like here to over to that tree, essentially, and that was big scary, but he's allowed to do that. It's not a crime. But you got to be careful because there's essentially new logic that runs on AI when you're not looking at them. And we use that in some cases to our favor because there's like things you can do to fix AI and so on and so forth if they get stuck in a weird loop. We did get our stock barfing sound, so the rest of the run has been blessed. Gonna strafe this man. This is a very scary running section in general. You can get some really bad RNG. We're gonna see what we look like up here. So now the run's over. No, we keep going. No resets. We got some okay RNG here. I'm gonna take this a little bit wide. Oh. Second stock barf sound to renew our good luck. I love that for us. Let's see. We're gonna drop down here. Dude, this is just a lot of running and being really careful and knowing exactly kind of where your lines need to be. And it can go a little weird sometimes, but you do your best. You improvise, you learn, you listen. You love. Oh, this is why we listen. And then a jump down here. A skull toss over there. We're gonna get a second skull toss over here. We have to be looking up at that dude, otherwise he can do the airdrop thing onto us. It's very scary. Iframes on the door, and now we're good. Do I know who No Hit Jerome is? I do. I'm around the hitless community. If you see a lot of the more popular streamers that are, I get free throwing knives, that are in the hitless community, I tend to stand around and watch what they're doing, specifically so that I can learn from them, learn from their mistakes, learn from what they're doing. A lot of people in the hitless community have been very kind in offering like to just answer questions as you have them, which is very great. Because then that's what I mean when I say I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, because A, there's literal giants, so spoilers. B, there's definitely a lot of people that have been doing this for a while. People that have been doing it since 2016, and there's evolving strategies, new things to learn. The Watcher strategy I told you about earlier was only discovered like months ago, but like, why not adapt to it? Is that helpful for you? Is it good for what you're doing? Is it more comfortable for you? Your run is your run, so make it yours. Have it your way. Other motto goes here. Right now we're just murdering a giant because he's going to be in our way. I'm going to whiff just to, let him know I mean business. We will be getting early patches, but he's still considered in our way for where we need to go. Oh no. The one-handed attacks are a little faster, a little tighter on the like when it is safe to go in and get those hits. There's a slightly delayed hitbox for these attacks, so you got to be a little careful. I will err on the sides of whiffing as opposed to getting bapped by the giant, because getting bapped by the giant does hurt. Turns out he's a big strong boy. He eats his Wheaties, as you should, if you can. Such a good cheese. I wish I knew this cheese in my first playthrough. Genuinely a thing that's like going down there and dealing with that. So if you've not played this game before, there's a giant pool of gunk down there, essentially. And that pool of gunk has in it a viscous material that will slow you down and make it really hard to dodge and move. And then the giant's like, hey, you're small. I could just step on you. And that's bad, turns out, for your health. Let's see. So we're coming down here, opening up shortcuts, setting that back up accidentally because why not? Which television sitcom character would I identify with and why? That's a very tough question. Specifically because I'm bad at watching TV. I'm very bad at watching TV. I'm genuinely not sure. Do you have an answer to that? Because I'm kind of struggling.
What was the question?
The question was, which television sitcom character would I identify with and why?
I do have an answer for this question, and it's not really an answer I came up with myself, but my friend group in high school, which was a ways back, but the friend group I had in high school, sort of all of us were like, we were hanging out with somebody one time, and they were like, you guys know that like all of you are one person in that 70s show? And we were like, oh my God. And it just is the truth. I am Eric, evidently. I also look a lot like Topher Grace.
Fair. I will admit, that 70s show is one that it's like, I've seen clips of it. I get the vibe of the show, and I think I would enjoy watching it to some extent, but I've not actually properly seen it.
It was good for the time, I think.
That's fair.
It's very fun. It's got some great bits. Kelso, which is played by Ashton Kutcher, in my opinion, like steals the show pretty regularly.
That's certainly fair. Ashton Kutcher's done some really interesting things with his life and his career in that regard. Because I know he put his acting career on hold. We're waiting for this dude, by the way, because this dude can give me weird RNG, and he might just come at me with a dagger, or he might light himself on fire. And the latter is actually preferable, believe it or not. But I'd rather wait for him to turn around so that I can definitely not have to deal with his shenanigans. But yeah, so I genuinely don't know as far as like what I would have to choose, because as far as like I didn't really watch a lot of sitcoms. I caught glimpses of stuff like Everybody Loves Raymond and Friends and all that sort of stuff, and I tended to mostly not watch them. A lot of the stuff I ended up watching actually was stuff that was a little bit older. I watched a lot of I Love Lucy growing up and whatnot, because why not? I'm not technically that old, but it was an available option to, watch on TV Land, for those of you who remember that. Probably dating myself slightly, but I have to think about it. I will admit I do tend to. This is going to probably come as a slight surprise to some of you out there that have met me or know me particularly well. I am a bit of what one would say is a weeb. And I tend to watch anime, things like that. Partly because genuinely,
somebody that works in game dev. No,
I know
way.
This is shocking. This is unheard of, untold of. Getting Ross vibes. I don't know how I feel about that.
I would not say that Jeff is. I don't think Jeff is like Ross.
I only know Ross in the context of Futurama, wherein why does oh no, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the others, where it's why does Ross simply not eat the others? Was it Ross? Maybe that was Joey. Why does Joey, the largest of the friends, simply not eat the others? Anyway, so I watch more things like Futurama, whatnot. We're coming in here, by the way, for those of you who don't know, we're getting early patches. Patches is a good vendor to have, and will give us access to infinite skulls for a cost. So when I say skulls, I'm referring, of course, to alluring skulls. And those are handy, particularly for this upcoming fight, which I have not updated my splits correctly for. Right now on Deacons. Deacons of the Deep. We get a deep ring just for free, because why not? So we're going to roll out here. I'm going to spook here. And it might not come in handy, but it might. I spook there because there's a thrall that wants to come up behind us, and there's a potential that I can get this timed right. Dodge through this. That we should not take fall damage here, which is nice. We'll take a little bit here. You can take that fall damage and survive in general, but it's also nice to not have to risk it for the biscuit. The biscuit is delicious, and we love that. But however, we're on a diet, so just make sure that you're watching what you eat. I am going to run all the way in here and grab this bonfire. You'll see me. Oh, I was gonna say you'll see me, but I actually don't have my controller overlay up to show that I'm spamming the B button. What happens if you get hit? You keep going. You never give up.
My brother in the chat came through with the official quote. Why does Ross, the largest of the friends, simply not eat the others.
Thank you. Well, thank you for correcting my approximate knowledge of many things. But yeah, so as far as sitcoms are concerned, I genuinely don't have a great frame of reference for that, partly because watching TV, I get I don't know, I've been told this is maybe a thing I should look into for, ADD or something like that, but who knows? I have a hard time just sitting and watching something. So like typically if I'm with my girlfriend and we're watching, whatever, we're also like eating, or I'm also like playing something on Switch, what have you. The current thing I'm doing, by the way, is waiting for the fog wall to disappear again, because we have to go upstairs and get outside. We're going to use that tower key that we murdered a nun for. Sorry about that, but we are not the good guys in this run.
Ashen 1.
Thanks for running this. You're welcome. I will continue to run this too, because we're going to keep running this until I get it done, until we get that 0 on that PB, which I've done much better than I'm currently doing, and would like to continue yes, I would like to continue to keep doing better. So feel free to swing by my channel, twitch.tv/JeffOverTime, wherein you will see me on Mondays and Tuesdays or more shenanigans related to this. Usually I've just kind of gotten off work and I'm decompressing a little bit, and I like hanging out with you folks. Y'all are nice. Members of the challenge run community in general have been very endearing to me in various different forms and fashions, watching people do hitless runs, speed runs, because there are people who do speedless speedless runs? Yes. Hitless runs. Wow. Look at them go. Hitless speed runs, wherein you apply the logic of a hitless run and then just do it as fast as possible, which is neat to me. The current world record for that, to my knowledge, is 49 minutes, which is very fast, but also very cool. This is our boy Patches. He did us dirty, but we will not forgive him, and then he'll give us things for free. And then we just purchase a bunch of skulls from him and then pretend like that's okay.
And Jeff's link, obviously periodically through the evening, but also specifically anytime that either of us are plugging the channel, I'll be posting the link in the chat. And if you're watching on YouTube, actually, after the fact, which a good amount of Challenger approaching viewers actually do watch the VODs, they come in all the time to my chat and they're like, oh, I watch the GDQ Challenger approaching VODs all the time. So like, first of all, thank you. But second of all, you can always find the runner's link in the description. So Jeff's Twitch link will also be present in the YouTube description. So be sure to give Jeff a follow if you are watching on YouTube.
On YouTube. I genuinely felt like that was a me thing, because I do watch a lot of these sorts of VODs on YouTube. So I'm very, very grateful that they're there and available. That is the sort of media I tend to consume these days, as opposed to TV or anything like that. Is I have a lot of stuff up on Twitch or on YouTube. Does this run include glitches? Minor glitches, yes, but major glitches, no. Realistically, if it's a glitch, you try and keep it out of your arsenal here for the most part. But yeah, it is definitely a thing that's like, for me, it's like I'll watch, whoever's hanging out on Twitch doing their thing. Plenty of hitless runners that stream both in the morning and the evening. But also just in general, all the different types of games going on, because I like seeing what people do in games. It helps inform me as a professional. It also entertains me as a person who's just, hanging out today. Particularly in a work from home sort of scenario, I like the idea that it's, I seen it to be a little more popular, at least, is the idea that you have folks that are streaming and not really like actively talking, but they're taking regular breaks like every 30 minutes or something like that, and just saying like, oh hey, now's the time where I'm taking a break, getting some water, stretching my legs, what have you, and then going from there to encourage you to do the same, because I know that was a big thing for me even when I was at Naughty Dog. That was just like, oh hey, the person at the desk next to me would get up and then do like a water break, and that would remind me to get a water break, and then I would stay hydrated, which is great for being alive. I'm going to choose to wait for this thrall because we don't want to get his attention. We need to get beyond him.
Oh, I hate those guys.
These the little thralls? Yeah.
Yeah, that segment on the roof in this game where there's like a billion of them.
Mm-hmm.
I struggled.
That's a big scary situation too, because you've got to really listen and look for very key things essentially. where you could potentially just get a dart in your back, which is really bad for the health as well as for your hitless run. We're gonna just jump through here, not get memed upon. There we go. That dude could sit on you, but if you know how to prevent that, then he won't. Funny how that works.
Good luck with Deacons.
Thanks. Deacons is a fight of patience. But they're so cute. They are, with their big hats. I can't deny that. Okay, so we're gonna do it this way. We want this. I will have one of these. I shouldn't need it, but I'll take it. And then we're gonna take this off. Deacons is a big fight of patience. I've kind of changed how I've done this fight 3 or 4 different times, specifically because I found that one of the biggest enemies for me was myself for this fight. And the way that you can do Deacons, and that a lot of people do Deacons, I think, up time. I think a lot of people do because it's a thing that doesn't require specific resource or anything like that, is the idea that you kind of just shepherd them in a circle and then wait for an opportunity to strike. That means Deacons can take like upwards of 5 minutes, and you just have to be really patient. My brain doesn't work that way, so I don't do that. What I do instead is just throw a bunch of alluring skulls. So there's one. Let me throw the second one about here. We watch that we don't get zapped because we totally could. Keep throwing them about that way. Try and wedge in here a little bit, but be careful because you don't want to get zapped. That's 3. I think that was 3. So this should be 4, which means we're going to come around the outside. Jeff is the enemy of Jeff. It's true. Someday I will fight Jeff. What I'm doing now is luring them around the back because the phase 2 boss is going to spawn where all these Deacons are, and I don't want to have a crowd while also trying to deal with ye old Archdeacon. Just using these pillars to my advantage.
This is another boss I really liked casually.
Casually, I really like this boss. It was very odd to me because it felt very easy because I think I showed up here a little bit late and was very strong. But also the sort of thing that it's like, it's neat. I like it.
It's very neat. It's sort of like in Bloodborne, there's a boss kind of similar to this. The Celestial Emissary, is that what it's called? The Mushroom Boy? The
2 seconds. Sorry.
Mushroom Boy? No, you're good.
I did bad math, so we're being very careful. When I say bad math, I threw my alluring skull a little too close, which means that those big Deacons were willing to just do their force explosion. Does no damage, counts as a hit. So definitely a thing that I goofed and had to respond to a little bit on the fly. So, but yes, I do get that sort of vibe from big old sponge heads. I love that.
Yeah, isn't that Celestial Emissary is the name of that boss, right?
Yes. Good old Bloodborne DLC content. Love some of that. It was one of those fights that actually also kind of caught me a little off guard, which was nice. Because I don't feel like that happens a lot. They do a lot of warning you about, hey, this is kind of, I don't want to say what you can expect, but it's like you're about to approach a boss or something very dangerous because you usually have like big fog wall or area that looks suspiciously like an arena. So kind of like, I know a lot of, there was a while where it was very common to have games where it's like, you have like half height cover or quarter height cover. And it's like, well. Celestial Emissary's base game, I believe you. My knowledge of Bloodborne is very blurry. But I'm choosing to believe you as someone who could potentially know more things than me, which is realistically quite an option. I barely know what I'm doing right now.
Is that base game? I think so. I think it might be.
It might be.
This is the best. It's the best view in the game.
Oh, the city of Irithyll. I absolutely love this. Particularly, this is exactly what we were talking about before, where it's just like you can see the giant cathedral looming in the distance, and you look at that and you see the bridge going towards it, and it's just like, oh my goodness, I want to go there and I want to fight stuff.
There?
Yeah,
exactly.
First things first, we're gonna fight a dog.
I got here to that bonfire and I sat there for probably 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I I think I've seen more than one like lo-fi Dark Souls sort of YouTube things wherein they just had the city of Irithyll as like a backdrop. Also, that's how you fight that dog. But yeah, the whole city, we also get a nice, in Hitless, you get a nice little tour of it, wherein you can kind of actually very casually go through this. And this requires a little bit of knowledge and bravery at the same time, which is not things I am often both equipped with. But thanks to everyone who has come before me, I at least have knowledge.
Update splits, people
Update
say.
splits, wow.
I believe it is 0 for Deacons.
Correct. Yeah, so we managed to get through Deacons without getting hit, which is nice. We're going to take a nice little walk through Irithyll. I appreciate the reminder to update splits.
I love a good snow level.
Oof.
But like this is my favorite area in the game. I'm sorry, what is this?
So this is a bit of bad RNG because
I've never seen this.
This is a little bit of bad RNG because we had a couple of different options here. What we used was a young white branch. So it's actually one of our starting items, or our starting item of choice. It just camouflages you as an item in the game, or as an object in the environment. However, there's mechanical implications behind this as well. So much like Spook, it will help reduce your sound radius. It also masks you a little bit in the way of like visuals. This guy's gonna get a little bit mad at me because I got caught out, but we just don't panic, and we just hope that he decides that the architecture is bad and then moves on with his life. When I say bad RNG, I am of course memeing, because there's two options here. We could have this nice little squire that we've got here. There's also the alternative, however, is Ice Cream Grandpa. It's just a little old man, and he's holding out just like a little orb of ice cream. Or sorry, a little bowl of ice cream. I don't know why I said orb.
Orb. Pondering the orb as many are these days.
Oh, don't worry, we'll ponder the orb later. I'm gonna do the scary version of this just because it's funny. But yeah, this is how we do Irithyll in Hitless. You can technically run through here and do a bunch of murder and violence and stuff like that. Or if you were doing the Hitless speedrun strat, you actually just go and just try and not scream too much. Because, you know, it could happen. These witches, the dudes with the staffs here, are the big scary versions, because the reason they are essentially scary is that if they start throwing stuff at you, it becomes very difficult to dodge, particularly as you are trying to run away from it. It is coming from behind you. So, sir, please go away.
I said, I meant to just say ponder the orb, but I just said orb, which is like the word you're not supposed to say on the GDQ stream, because people go absolutely nuts.
Oh no. Well, that's happened. So
I love watching the enemies look at you and then walk away.
Yeah, just like absolutely running into me. Like, I remember seeing there's a couple different places you can stand for that to be safe. I choose to stand there sometimes, but it's very it's a gamble as to whether or not that is faster or slower in my experience. I think a lot of people say that it's faster more frequently, but you know, it's fine. Orv. It's an Orv. ORV. So this is our last witch. Very occasionally, this witch will see me for a reason that I will admit I don't fully understand. But we're good. And now we can run. I'm going to come over here. We're going to hang out with this little bug. What's up, bud? This is Alan.
What's up,
Okay, say hi to Alan.
What's up, Alan?
Say bye to Alan.
Bye, Alan.
We're just waiting for these dudes to pass so that we can run past them without actually having to engage with them, because you can fight them. They are made of paper, but
You do a lot of damage if memory serves.
For sure, and they're also very fast. You cannot outrun them. They have a sprint speed equal to or greater than yours, and that can be really really bad.
One reason that I find this level or this area so engaging is like the looping level design, where like you re-enter certain areas multiple times, but just from like a different vantage point, which is one of my favorite game design practices.
Yeah. It's part of the reason that I enjoy stuff like Metroidvanias and whatnot. Like the number of times, like I think Hollow Knight does an amazing job of this, and I will gush about Hollow Knight very frequently because I love that game. Doink, 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 doink. Watching while also sending debris a bunch of places. If you feel comfortable with your jumps, you can jump over this ledge. It's just a cool guy move. You don't have to do that. Doink. But yeah, like revisiting an area in Hollow Knight and seeing how it's changed, particularly after you defeat certain bosses, and it's just like getting a feel for what's new and how to adapt to that, and like what tools you have in your arsenal. And it's just absolutely so good in so many different games. I know that was a big thing that we tried to accomplish in The Last of Us 2 as well, where it's just like, hey, when you're revisiting this area, and you know, here's what's new and here's what's different, here's what might surprise you, here's what might intrigue you for, you know, loots and things like that. We're overshooting our goal.
I feel like the especially when you revisit areas as different characters is like a very different take on that I thought ND did really well.
Yes. And
by ND I mean you, Jeff. You nailed it.
I did do, for those of you who have played The Last of Us Part 2, I did, almost all of my content was in the second half of the game. If you don't know what that means, please do not spoil it for others.
Yeah, I'm actually curious, what levels were you on? You can use the development titles for me if that helps keep spoilers away from people.
Basically Fob and Medicine, like the car ride to Fob and a good chunk of Medicine, excluding the boss fight.
Oh, that's right. You and I got to do all those dev tests.
Oh boy, yeah.
I did so many alpha dev tests on Fob Car and Fob Stadium.
Also, free soup here for anyone who wants soup. Let's make sure I've got the right rings equipped. So this is not mandatory, but it is cozy by comparison. So this is another slightly scary running section coming up to Pontiff. So just making sure that you have skulls equipped. I like running both the Grasscrest Shield and the Chloranthy Ring for running sections, because it's like, you know, it's just, they do stack. And that's nice for having just the extra stamina. This can get a little hairy because there's a lot of factors and things to go on. One of which is going to be this knight that's going to chase me through basically the entire setup. Soup. Seeing a lot of soup in chat. Soup enjoyers out there. Tell me your soups.
Good soup.
Oops, I goofed. I drank an Estus, so I shouldn't have, so we're gonna hustle, hustle, hustle. Stamina management. Oh, that knight is on my tail. Okay, we're good. Yo, I said that too soon. No. Heck. That's a little unfortunate because I heard the wolf despawn, but it was in fact teleporting. But that's okay.
We could take our second break right here if that works for you.
Sure, if that's easier for you. It's either that or like directly after Pontiff
Let's do right after Pontiff. Let's keep the momentum going.
Sure, yeah. Realistically, I goofed there by having my Estus selected. Not a big deal. Because we lost some skulls along the way, but we also have buffer skulls built in for various different reasons. The reality is that was my fault. That is a section that is a running section that you have almost no room for error, which is, of course, in any sort of challenge run, very scary. This area, you can just run straight through there. If you do that line every time, you should be safe. Just stay away from the edge that is closest to the big creepy crawly dudes. Wasn't that 2 hits? Do they not count if it's back to back? They typically only count if it's like one distinct hit. Like if I got hit by a boss and then 10 seconds later I got hit by a boss again, that's typically how we count that. Realistically, any hit above 1, it's kind of like, you know, however you want to do it.
Because it doesn't really functionally matter.
It doesn't functionally matter, and the tradition, to my understanding, is essentially that if you've got the little yellow bar on your health still, Oh, that might be a little deep.
then it's still just one quote-unquote hit.
Correct. Scary. Big scary, but we're okay. Hey, my stuff. That's in a weird spot. You can also use the Aerithal Branch trick up here. I don't do it because it typically doesn't work out in my favor. This guy's going to be generous and is just going to buff for us. Shows quite how strong he can be. You do one roll in here and then you're fine, and we can just chill and do our setup for Pontiff fight.
The boss design, I think Pontiff is amazing.
Pontiff is fun. He's a bit of a pain in hit list because Pontiff is a fight that we script the heck out of, that we wanted to go in a very specific form and fashion. And sometimes he's just is like, I don't want to do that today. So, you know. So double checking my rings, we're using Pontiff's Red Eye, which does more damage when you keep swinging. Flynn's ring does more damage the less clothes you have. Lloyd's ring does more damage when you have more when you have max HP. And then Karthus Blood Ring we don't need per se, but I will take because he can go off script and that can get really scary. So we'll do that and then keep on moving. I do the one parry strat for this. Second phase is easy. We'll see if we encounter it. So that's one parry. We lock on, two-hand, hit him while he's rising. Ooh, I ran out of stamina because I forgot to put on Claranthy. Should be okay. We're gonna do this. And then he goes away.
Very nice.
Thanks. And then I'm going to stand slightly away from the bonfire because I have been gotten by this bonfire and it scared the heck out of me. I shot like 100 meters below the chapel in an instant. But there's a Pontiff for you. There's a bunch of different ways to cook that chicken, but that's the way I tend to cook it.
Sweet. Well, we will take a pause right there, and gamers will be right back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. There'll be more Challenger approaching in just a few moments.
Get you some hydration.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. My name is Adef. This is Challenger Approaching. We have Jeff Overtime showing off Dark Souls 3 Hitless. Gamers, GDQ Sum of Best Segments is now launched on YouTube. It's a highlight channel with regular videos like our main channel, but with small highlight reels for all of our main events and hotfix. Use exclamation highlights in Twitch chat to learn more. And AGDQ 2022 will be starting on January 9th, everyone. Get excited. Visit gamesdonequick.com for more information and detailed dates on the event. And Jeff, whenever you're ready to get things going, go ahead and give a countdown for us, please.
Will do. Just reopening, reclosing some stuff because I encountered a slight bug with the hit counter manager that we use. So it reset itself. Fortunately, ADF is here to the rescue, and I appreciate you.
No worries.
But I am ready. So here's 3, 2, 1. Let's go. By resorting my inventory. Very excited.
And this will be the last stretch, Jeff. So from here to the end, no more breaks.
Okie dokie. Can do. We're gonna equip ourselves for a good old run. Or we got some running to do. Oh, I want my staff, please and thank you. Not there. Not there. There. For those of you who watched Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, and get that joke.
That's the second time Harvey Birdman has come up in conversation in the last like 24 hours.
Really?
Yeah, my brother brought that up last. Just like, wow, it's not a show you hear about very often.
True. Particularly for me, it's Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. I did grow up with Harvey Birdman, like the OGs.
Right, when it was just like the old animation cells.
Right.
Ripped for the talk show.
Yeah, and that's for Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
I'm totally thinking Space Ghost Coast to Coast right now.
Yeah, it's all good. But like the OG just being the ye old Harvey Birdman, when it was the whole point was essentially to sell merchandise related to, action heroes and so on and so forth. But Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law is an Adult Swim reimagining of this.
Jeff, can I ask you a lore question?
You can try.
What is the lore behind the reason Anne Orlando is here?
That is. Oi. What do you mean? Why is Anor Londo here?
Like, was this built around Anor Londo, or was Anor Londo moved?
As with things that are, you can sort of see in the DLC specifically, you could see that the terrain has shifted over time, just in general. So why is the architecture different here? Is that what you mean, or do you mean like the city?
Yeah, because like, Anor Londo in DS1 like is so vastly different around the main castle than this is.
So some of it is just the progression of time and the advancement of things, because this is a place that continues to exist with listening. Sorry. Oh boy. We're good. There is a large swath of time essentially between DS1 and DS3 when it comes to Anor Londo, as exemplified by the one and only Aldrich, who we are rapidly coming up on, being in the midst of eating one of the last gods that exists in this land, because that's what Aldrich does. He's the Aldrich, the God Eater. But that being said, it's as to why the specifics of these things have changed is a little bit difficult to lean into, other than the potential of what you consider canon in DS1 with respect to Gwendolyn, Guinevere, Gwyn, all that sort of stuff. There's some theories that after the death of Gwyn, that there was a restructuring and to increase safety, which is also part of why you see all these kind of archers around, things like that. But like you still have these key tenants such as the Spinny Doo and then the big old chapel with giant ominous doors. So do you have a similar taste in early aughts animated comedy? No. Always glad to have a fellow ye old anime enjoyer around in chat.
I was pleasantly surprised to see Anor Londo back.
Oh yeah.
When I got here, I was like,
yeah. It is one of those things that I really enjoy seeing people do their first playthrough of Dark Souls as a whole, particularly in this case for that specific reason, where it's just like people learning for the first time that it's like, we're back in Anor Londo. Oh, okay, this is a thing. Like, there's some things going on here. I remember this place kind of, and then you see the elements you touch on that are like key and integral in some form or fashion. Sorry, we're setting up our TSR, which requires me to have below 20% or below a certain amount of health. RTSR means I do 20% additional damage while it is active. So I will take things off of my bar, such as my Estus, and I will add a charcoal pine bundle, which is all we are going to really need for this fight. I will also keep a homeward bone on my bar just in case something goes horribly awry, because there is a potential that Aldrich can give us some really spicy RNG if we hit phase 2. The goal is, of course, to not hit phase 2, but always be prepared. So, let's see. We're going to go this way. Lightning attack. You didn't have to roll that, but I was low on stamina, so I went ahead and did a roll. He was a little slow to approach. Running up here. The knights will stop following me. We're going to enter a chamber. I will pause briefly and set myself straight, grab a drink of water, because the Aldrich fight does have a little bit of a mini gauntlet before it, where there's a bunch of the deacons that we fought before that want to throw fire at us, and turns out that's bad for our health. Okay.
okay.
So one of the small things that took me a second to learn in this sort of area is the fact that you cannot and do not want to do the small falter step of, if you fall to the ground by like a minute, essentially, or I'm sorry, by a minute, by like a foot, it will, that's on me. Fortunately, I can reset that. I'm going to go ahead and save state that for the sake of time, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, please.
It'll take me 2 seconds.
What is Challenger Approaching? I can answer that real quick while Jeff sets this up, if that's okay.
Please do. Yeah.
Challenger Approaching is a show here on the Hot Fix, which focuses on challenge runs and the runners that perform them. And so, you know, the show is not about speed running. It's just about showcasing cool challenge runs. So Jeff is doing a Dark Souls 3 hitless showcase. And we are currently moving into the latter third of the run. And that's it. And I host that show. And that's it.
And it's very cool. And you should check it out here and on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a little spicy there, and that's on me. So apologies there. We're right back into it, though, with our exact setup. The reason I have a save state specifically for that is because resetting up our TSR does take time. Yep. Also listening for where the fireballs are. Okay. Aldrich fight is go.
Good luck with Aldridge.
Thank you. Arrow opener, very good. Ah, whiffed it. He's made a bunch of fire in a really bad spot for me. I need him to come towards me a little bit, which he's so kindly doing. This is incredibly good RNG for me, considering I had to deal with phase 2. But we're gonna run with it because he gave it to us. It's mine. You can't take it back.
Nice work.
Thanks. So what happened there that caused me to actually engage in phase 2 was I was a little bit behind on damage, and I think I know why. Yeah. So essentially I ran out of stamina at a bad point, which is okay. However, that is Aldrich done, which means we now go back and we're gonna go fight Yorm. For those of you who are curious, I do Yorm without using Storm Ruler because I think it's generally more reliable.
I was just about to ask.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, there is basically a weapon in the game that is, for lore reasons, but also mechanic reasons, intended to be used against Yorm and makes him significantly easier in a casual playthrough, in my opinion.
Yes, I definitely generally agree. The reason I don't tend to use it on hitless, thank you for the GGs in chat. That was definitely a thing that I was kind of watching my stat because there's a lot of fire on the ground. Thank you for the reminder to update my my manager or my hit counter. But yeah, so in hitless, there's a lot of little things that can go wrong with Storm Ruler, such as, so one of the big things that you get with Storm Ruler is the ability to wind up and fire a giant wind blast. This can and should stagger Yorm. However, there's a chance that it will instead not stagger Yorm, leave you with 0 stamina, and Yorm just really mad about you. So that can be a situation, like a whole, like, show ender, because he'll squish you because you can't dodge because you don't have any stamina, all that sort of stuff.
I disliked this area.
Good news, we're gonna skip it.
Yay.
So the jailer hit, for those of you who are curious about running hitless, the jailer's thing where they reduce your maximum HP does count as a hit, so we don't want to get hit by that.
This was one area where I felt that the game design, as far as what was causing that spell to proc on me, I did not find it readable.
I can agree with that.
I was so unclear, like, was it AoE or like was I too close?
It is definitely a thing that you feel like it happens and then you notice it later, sort of thing. It's like something happened to me. What was it? And then you have to remember to associate it to some extent, I think. So it definitely does feel a little bit disjunct. So I'm going to line myself up a little bit here. We're going to do, this is an area that a skip that you can do without spook. It just requires a certain amount of stat allotment. You take a little bit of extra points in vitality. Because we have spook, we can just do that, and now we are done with that particular part of the run, which is neat. Because not having to do...
That's a really cool non-glitch skip. That's really cool.
Yeah, and you can do that, again, without having spook. It just requires you have a certain amount of vitality. You take off, like, a bunch of your gear. Ooh, wow. Didn't like that, but that's okay. And you'll just be left with, like, 1 HP, basically. Fall damage is calculated relative to your... there's a whole formula to it, but it's relative to your equip load, your max embered health, you know, stuff like that. So I will do a little bit of setup here, and then I will change up and do a little bit more setup once we actually get to the Door of Yorm. There's a couple different skips you can do in this area. I don't do them for safety purposes. However, we are not going to be using RTSR. We will be using Lloyd's. I will also be... excuse me. I will also be swapping to use gold pine resin. So which I need to remember to buy more of at some point. So, but we're good to go. Making a small backup just in case. How does the jailer have health debuff work? It counts as a hit. It reduces your max HP. Which can simultaneously reduce your regular HP, of course. So whenever it goes away, whenever the debuff goes away, it will cause you to... Yep. It will cause you to just have whatever your HP was at the time. So it's scary, but, you know, it's okay. We just don't get hit by those guys. And then it's fine. You got to roll with these a little bit because they can chase you. They have tracking on them. We're not using RTSR. Don't need it. I can 2-cycle Yorm if I do it right. So we are actually going to set that up a little bit. Once we get to the door, I will trade out Chloranthy.
Happy Friday, Francesco.
Happy Friday, everybody. Unless you're living in the future and it's like, you know, Saturday somehow. In which case, happy Saturday.
Good luck with your...
Guys, you got hit yet? Yes. It's true. There's the hit counter manager that is showing where I've gotten hit. My personal PB is 17. I have done slightly better, but only when I was offline. So we don't count those because I don't count it as a new PB unless I've actually shown someone that I did it. We're going to trade out Chloranthy for Pontiff's Right Eye because it's going for max damage. We want to maintain RTSR. I'm sorry, not RTSR. All the other rings we got going on. So this is Yorm. You can see he's got a big old thing, and then there's a big old sword, sorry. And then there's a thing next to him that is a pickupable item. That counts as a hit, unfortunately. I was just in a bad spot. We're going to punch his armor a bunch, try and knock him down. He's going to show us his head, which is nice because we can get a little bit of free damage there. Doink. So about 1,400 damage. I was a little bit behind, but that's okay. We'll get a phase transition next hit. Two, three, four, and then we stop. Quick swipe, so I turn him around. We're also a little close to the door. That's two. Man, not catching those. That's on me, though. 3 damage to the head. Slight whiff. You got to be careful on that combo because he can continue that infinitely in phase 2. But instead, he just died. I took 2 hits. The stagger does count as a hit, but I've counted those, and now we're moving on to DSA. Can I get a free Storm Whirler? No.
Very, very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so as someone was asking why not using Storm Whirler, just again, the idea is that it can bug out. It particularly happens when Yorm is standing on the stairs, where if you hit him, he will not stagger. You'll be left with 0 stamina and an angry Yorm, which is bad news bears. We are going to go ahead and make a quick delivery to our dearest mother, the Shrine Maiden. Or I'm sorry, the... Bonfire Keeper, Firekeeper. Words, I can remember them. You may notice me unequipping my sword while I'm in Shrine. It's because I'm afraid of accidentally punching someone. It's happened to me once, so I just tend to take that out every time. I forgot to sell stuff, so I don't have as many souls as I want. Would you get hit by, no damage by? It's a big old stomp that he does. It's an AoE. It's very quick. You gotta watch his knee. On his left, your right. And he'll get you good with it. It's one of his biggest threatening things. The thing that I consistently am about 50-50 with as to whether or not I'll get it. But usually by this point in the run, I'm a little bit, I don't want to say haggard, but it's like, there's just been a lot going on. You get towards the ends of a challenge run of any kind, and it's like, okay, you've got to be attentive and on and active. It's one of the reasons that stuff like Hollow Knight, any percent is very appealing as a hitless run, because hitless Hollow Knight is about an hour long. It's fairly short. Bloodborne is fairly similar, where it's like it's not particularly long. So that's Nito Bandito. I'm just beefing up my decks as much as possible because we're going to want to do as much damage as possible to ye old DSA. Also going to remember to buy stuff like more resin because we have 3 gold pine resin here, and we're going to want those for sure. I have plenty of this. We don't need any of this. We're leaving. Goodbye. Actually, just kidding. I forgot about bombs. Helpful to have a shopping list, in my opinion, but yes. So for those of you trying to read the hit counter, my PB is on the right at the bottom where it says total. My PB is 17. And on the left is the current run, which is not going super great, but we're still here. We're still having fun. I appreciate you cats being here.
Technically, you could still PB.
If I just do probably the 3 hardest bosses in the run, hitless, yes. Not impossible.
No.
The dream is still alive. Don't worry, I'll just fall off of something and then take a bunch of damage and die from that. Because if we're going to go out, we're going to go out in style.
Yeah,
is that in style?
I think so.
Well...
No, Nameless King is not. Nameless King is an optional boss.
Correct. While being base game, this is an any percent sort of thing. So we are just going to get to the. Oh, this is awkward. I'm gonna watch. Normally you don't have to wait for this elevator, but we're just gonna watch and see what happens. Hey, bud, how you doing? But yeah, we just try and get to the credits as soon as possible, basically. I'm watching him, he's watching me. Here's our ride, so we outies. Yes, PB is personal best. There's a bit of lingo I always try and reinforce for those of you who are interested in Dark Souls in general, for like, okay, everyone says RTSR and all these other things, and it's like, well, what is that? RTSR is Red Tearstone Ring, very common through the entire Souls series. One of my favorite uses of it is the final boss of the DLC in Dark Souls 1. On my SL1 run, Soul Level 1, which is just don't level up, I used RTSR among other various items, including Power Within, which means that you are at low health and on fire to defeat the final boss of Dark Souls 1 DLC in about 5 seconds by just doing a ridiculous amount of damage. So I'm doing some small setup. I take my shield off for this because I tend to end this sequence with like 2 HP. And that's big scary. How does hitless work? TLDR is you play through the entire game as much as you have set out for yourself, and try not to get hit. If you get hit by an enemy, then that counts as a hit. If you get hit by something like a bonfire that is on the ground, that typically doesn't count. All the rules can be found in detail on Team Hitless's website, teamhitless.com, I believe. So we're going to swap out this. I do want Chloranthy. We are also going to use Green Blossom. I would like my shield back because shielding. So this is kind of my go-to high damage setup where we have high stamina regeneration and then a bunch of things modifying my damage output. Favorite Dark Souls 3 boss? That's a tough one. In base, go ahead, please do.
Mine is definitely the name of it escapes me, but the dude riding the dragon in the DLC.
The dude riding the dragon in DLC.
It's the Gwyn's son, canonically, I believe.
That's not Nameless King.
Is that no, not Nameless King? I don't think. Is it? Wait, hang on.
Because there's the Wyvern
Nameless
fight.
King. Yeah, Nameless King is my
Okay.
Is my favorite.
Yeah, Nameless King is an amazing fight. And I really enjoy that. It is probably my second favorite fight. I'm gonna think about my favorite fight if you want to remind me after DSA.
Sure. Good luck. Have fun with this boss.
Thanks. This is another one that's like relatively largely scripted, but can also go miss.
I really like this fight as well.
Don't be a turtle. Don't do it. No, he's doing all shield attacks. I don't like that. Probably gonna get a phase 2 because he's being a big old turtle. Heck. Why you gotta do this? Pilgrim's attacking? Big scary. Oh no! Unfortunate. He got me with a little bit of bop as I was trying to go past him. But that's okay. I got a big turtling there, which is unfortunate because that does mean that he was able to bait me out with a wind attack. The wind attack is not impossible to dodge, but it does go through the floor, so it's a lot to pay attention to. And I happen to put myself in a bad spot and caught his shield. Are hitless speedruns common? Kind of more common than they used to be. Because there's definitely more discoveries that we've made along the way that really help them come to fruition in that regard. But yeah.
Good luck again.
Thank you. Oh, interesting. Oh. Failed to bait out the third attack. Oh, caught me on the backswing. That feels bad. There is a strafeable version of that. I had him too close to the wall. Am I counting my hits? I think I am.
Yeah, it's just 2 so far.
Yeah. So is he using save states? I thought that was illegal. It is illegal in a run that you would submit, at least as far as Team Hitless is concerned. I'm using them currently for the sake of expediting the rest of the run. And because this is not a run that I am submitting to Team Hitless. If
this
you
is
are
this is just a showcase.
Yeah, so this is kind of what hitless you can expect in general sense. Mind you, I've been doing this for a little while, but yeah. There's definitely folks who are worse than me that are new. There's definitely folks that are better than me that have been doing this for a considerably long period of time. Definitely encourage you to check those folks out. Really bad RNG with this guy today. Like that. Could have had a follow-up attack where he would be punishable. He didn't do it. He's instead just being this. Like this all day. Why you gotta be like this, DSA? Pilgrims are about to fire a thing. There we go.
Wow,
that was really scary.
The amount of patience to not go in for that final hit.
You don't do, DSA is one you do not greet, because the moment you go for a greet on DSA is the moment he's just going to bop you. What was in the background? So you kind of missed it because I didn't show them to you. Oh, there's one. These are the pilgrims. They throw meatballs at you. It's very rude of them. I'm going to light this bonfire, but not sit at it. Everything is terrifying. Correct. These are one of the things that I like about this sort of run, where it's just like, particularly from my perspective, where I am not the most veteran for sure, but I still enjoy these sorts of things quite a bit. And we do this at the beginning of the week on Monday and Tuesday at 7:30 PST for those of you who want to join me. Usually try and keep it relatively chill, but also still learning, and it still gets very exciting stuff like that. DSA's DS3 Ornstein. That's an interesting comparison because it's close. He has very similar ideas, but it's definitely the similar idea where it's like, you do not want to be greedy with this man because he'll knock over your cereal bowl and, you know, give you some ill wishes. So we're going to do a parry strategy here on this second sage because we don't want to have to deal with the sage through the rest of archives. So we just got to go for it. Neat. So you can technically use that same parry strategy on regular Sage. However, I decided that I didn't want to do that because at the point that we fight regular Sage earlier in the run, I just don't need it.
Oh, is she she's one of the enemies that is permanently deleted?
Correct, which is why I went back to sit at that bonfire. So now that she's done, I just don't have to move on with that. There's other strategies that incorporate poison, for example, that is a little bit longer of a wait, and we have the damage that we don't need to do that, so I just don't. I went and sat back at the bonfire so that I get all my health back, and we move on to the rest of this. We're gonna have to get a couple different items along the way, but that's okay. Don't cover me in wax, please and thank you. Yeah. There was a question that was asked before DSA. I don't remember what it was. I was meant to think about it during DSA, but I was distracted.
Your favorite Dark Souls 3 boss?
Oh, yeah. So Nameless King is very, very much up there. Oh boy. Cinder is simultaneously my favorite and least favorite because he's a bit of a troublemaker here on this run. But as far as the dynamicism of that fight, very interesting, very cool. But also the sort of thing that like lore wise, it's like, oh, okay, of course he's, you know, very important dude.
He has all the like the attacks that represent the different key players from the previous games.
Correct. Yeah. So the hope is that we will not experience most of those. We're gonna have to do a little bit of waiting here. I will use this time to destroy some books. Osiris will be skipped. Osiris is also a fun fight. It's maybe not my favorite fight, but it is definitely one like up there, particularly from a lore perspective. Osiris is a narratively unusual fight. For those of you who've never experienced Osiris, it is a man who essentially is trying to turn himself into a dragon and kind of did. So yeah, we're waiting around for this librarian to come back around the corner, and then we will deliver upon him some bombs. And yeah, Dancer. Dancer's a fun fight. I don't think it's my favorite fight, but so I think I would have to stand with like Cinder and Freed for the most part, kind of the end fights of the DLC and the base game. Different. I've never had a bomb just go directly through him before, but he's been working out. Yeah. Let me double check a thing real quick. Dude, because I think I don't hear the music. That's okay. Let's put this on our bar because we're gonna need them. And then we're gonna throw them because we don't want to deal with these thralls. The thralls can definitely be a real problem. You don't want to get caught up on them. Pause through here, regen some stamina. There's a damage cancel you can do on this ledge. I don't because I don't need to. But for those of you who are doing damageless, you do care about those sorts of things. It is a neat little addition to your run, I think. The idea is that rolling cancels damage, and you can kind of Celeste style, for those of you who have played Celeste, reinstate your roll while falling. If you do it right. What does hitless mean? Hitless means don't get hit. Don't get hit by an enemy or a trap. There are a lot of rules on Team Hitless website, teamhitless.com, I believe. We need more branches because it is time to become the tree. This is actually going to be our particular pondering moment, because there's a couple different ways you can handle this. There's a giant demon around the corner. We're going to just wait him out, because I can stand here. He's not aggroed yet. If I stand here, he is now aggroed. So we stand here and we ponder. I like keeping an eye on him just in case he decides he wants to be a little wild and adventurous. Fortunately, this time he's choosing to behave, so I will run by, grab this. I don't need it, but it's handy. It's extra souls, more damage, more economy. Throw in a Learning Skull here so that we don't get thralls following us, because there are a few of them. I could reasonably be throwing that a little bit more down the hall, but I like throwing it there because it's easy and consistent. Grandfather Ice Cream. The time for Grandfather Ice Cream is past, unfortunately. That is an Irithyll only. I throw two skulls here.
That was quick through the archives.
Yeah, we don't goof too much in archives. It could have been done a little bit faster, but there's not really a reason to hang out per se, particularly other than the potential that you goof and have Sage to deal with, which is not fun. I've had to deal with that before. It is much better to just reset, in my opinion, and deal with trying to do it right again. I sit here to reset the enemies that we just angered, because they're scary and want to murderize me, and that is not good. Getting slightly hungry.
You're getting hungry?
Yeah, it's always a problem during runs and stuff like that, it's like, that's okay. I had an emergency cookie just in case earlier, and it's holding me over. Nice. This is one of the scarier running sections as well. where we run up these stairs and we pray for good RNG, because at the very end of this, we'll either have some people buffing and not attacking us, or they will be attacking us, and that's much more scary. There's a little to the right, so I'm gonna have to watch myself here. Managing stamina is very important. There's many archers, many people chasing me. This is kind of a sort of like maintain your speedrun lines, that sort of thing. Buffing. Oh. So we got 2 buffs. That's nice. Realistically, the first buff is the most important in my opinion. Because if you have the first buff, it's relatively easy to manage the second one of those nights. I have seen very occasionally someone get all 3 buffs, and that is a blessed day indeed. Very rare, but good RNG. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm not super big fan of phase 2 Freed fight, where old man delivers you soup. But
yeah, I found the second phase of that fight to be really difficult.
It definitely can be. There's some things that if you see how it's easier to show than do. Unfortunately, from my opinion, get a Titanite slab so we can get to plus 10. There are certain things you can do in phase 2 that make phase 2 just kind of a waiting game. It becomes a little bit Deacons-esque in that way.
It's definitely, I don't know. I know some of the like Dark Souls purists would maybe look down upon me for this, but one piece of the casual experience that I really enjoyed was the anonymous multiplayer of like people assisting me with bosses that you know all we can ever exchange is a wave. Especially like when you sometimes have like a really nice through line with someone where somebody keeps trying to help you, like they keep putting their soapstone sign down for you. And that was one of the boss fights where it wound up being one person that they and I just over and over were trying that boss together.
I love that. I also love being the person that is because I'll do for a long time before I did challenge runs, I would just very casually sunbro and I would have my orange soapstone down essentially, and just wherever I could potentially lend a hand and whatnot, because it's like I've beat these bosses before. I know what I'm doing enough to not worry about like trying to progress through the game or whatever. And for by and large, even at that point, I didn't need summons per se because it's like, oh, I fought this before. I kind of know what to expect. But yeah, it's a lot of fun for some good old jolly cooperation. I have had a variety of friends reach out to me over time to say, hey, I want to play Dark Souls, but it seems really scary. But I know you can summon people. What's that about? That sort of thing. And going through the whole gambit of being like, okay, cool. Here's the deal. If you want to play, I will play with you. And we can do, what am I buying? I'm buying something. No, I'm double checking what I own. I don't need that. I have plenty of these. I'm going to buy one more and then one of these just in case. I have my bombs still. No, I don't. When did I throw all my bombs? What'd you do with them? Give them back. I need bombs for destroying furniture. Do I max out at 66 decks? No, I don't go that high. We don't have enough soul gain to make that happen, unfortunately. We will typically get around 60 decks by the time we go to fight Cinder. Somewhere around 60 decks and 22 in turns, give or take. I will probably push endurance after this because Cinder does utilize a little bit of endurance. So we should be good to go here. Please let me out of the menu. Thank you. I will always admire speedrunners and their ability to menu quickly. I tend to falter in that regard.
Quick menu is the most impressive part of RPG speedruns, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh man, just watching and it's like, what happened? How do we get here? But yeah, kind of lost the trail of what I was talking about. Oh well.
It's all good.
Oh, rando co-op. The idea being, like, I also love that about other games like Journey and whatnot, where if you've never played Journey, highly recommend it. It's a great experience.
Oh, that game rocks.
Yeah.
Journey is a singular experience.
It really is. I know of some folks who have done kind of the thing I was talking about, but with Journey, where they were like, yeah, I've unlocked the white cloak that you can get by collecting a bunch of really super hidden stuff and whatnot, and that's super duper cool. I never got it myself, but I thought about it. It was one of the few games that my mother played that she was like, I actually really enjoy this, and this is really nice. How do you get that white cloak? And I was like, oh, okay, if you want to do that, here's how you do it. So shout out to Gamer Moms.
That's a like a smaller studio published by SMS, right?
Basically, yeah. There was some involvement in a couple different ways.
That game and Flower. In my opinion, Flower is the perfect game for people who don't play video games. Because I think it is a masterclass in teaching you exactly how it works it doesn't tell you anything.
Correct.
And it is just so intuitive. There's no buttons. Like, you just tilt the controller. And it is so intuitive. It's a beautiful game. And if you are somebody who like wishes a parent or somebody would like try a video game, they should play Flower.
And as is pointed out in chat, That Game Company is the name of the company. It's a little bit of a it's a little bit of an unfortunate name in the sense that it's like very generic sounding, but they do great work making really wonderful experiences in that regard, and very pretty. Like the Journey remaster was very nice to see that brought to a modern console. I think it's on PS4.
Yes.
Okay, so this is Prince's. This is one of these slightly spicier fights for various different reasons. One of the things that you're going to see me do that maybe seems questionable is break a bunch of furniture. The reason that we do this is because the Princes teleport. And when they teleport, if they land on furniture, you are going to lose your lock on them, and that's a real bummer. I do most of my fighting near the front of the arena because of a strategy I employ, but I like to blow up a good chunk of the furniture if I can help it. Also, if you're ever having trouble aiming your fire bombs, the reason I'm taking a few baby steps forward is because it makes you throw straight. You just got to get your distances correct, which I obviously didn't do there, but that's okay. So I get rid of my fire bombs. I'm going to have a backup bundle just in case we get some weird shenanigans because, you know, magic and things like that can happen. But yeah, so now we're going to do some Princes. I use charcoal pine resin here.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Yeah, for those of you gamers that have not played this, this fight is quite difficult.
It can be big spicy, particularly it has some of the quickest attacks in the entire game, so you've really got to be ready for those quick slams. Do I do the fog strategy? Only on the transition, which is why I was blowing up the things there. I'll explain the fog strategy in detail later. Rude. Camera. Okay, so now I'm going to run to the fog wall and do a bunch of dancing. So if you'll bear with me, I need a brief moment of silence. It's one of the few points. Okay. I was listening for magic and slams. Very rude. Oh, dear brother. His brother's name is Mark.
Nice work.
Thanks. Also, credit to V-Swed for that joke. I cannot take credit for the brother Mark joke. But yeah, so that is how I do princes. The real quick rundown of what the cheese strategy for this is: you can face this fog wall while it is up, and he'll do the double slam, slam, slam. So you roll, roll with the slam, and then you strike with the twin blades, which strike slightly behind you. I believe it's actually like I can't remember which attack it is. Thank you for the GGs. But yeah, that's the princess fight. The easier way, hypothetically. I find it more boring, and I therefore mess it up. I don't know if this is common. I'm kind of curious for those of you who are challenge runners yourself, if you feel like you do worse if you are just bored with the run. Like if there's a part of the run that is like harder specifically because you're just like, I don't like this part is easy, and I just kind of turn my brain off, and then you goof a little bit more. That's definitely a thing I do. So we're going to sell a bunch of stuff, basically everything that we're not holding down, and going to use in the fight upcoming, because it is time for Cinder. Cinder is the scary boy, like capital S, capital B, scary boy. So we'll be doing a handful of stuff. I'll see what I need in the way of souls if I need anything else. We're just going to level up as much as we can, and then we'll go set up our TSR, and then we're going to go. So I would love to get, okay. Let's do it this way. A 22-60 split should be fine. How close was I to the next level?
Farewell, Ashen One.
Okay, so we're going to sell a little bit of stuff. I just bought. Oh well, that's okay. We're just gonna move on. We're gonna equip our sword. We're going to make sure that we've got we do have to do an RTSR setup. If for the idea of going faster, I can just skip to a save state where I already have that and I'm directly in front of Cinder. Otherwise, it's just running around, jumping off of this and taking 10 damage at a time, kind of. I'll let you decide whether or not that is desirable. It doesn't really change anything.
What was that? Sorry.
I could potentially skip the RTSR setup and the RP that is going to occur here if that is desirable. I know that we are kind of pushing time a little bit.
Yeah, probably that would be best, honestly.
Yeah, let's do that. So for those of you who are curious, what I'm skipping right now is just RTSR setup, which means I just have to hurt myself a bunch and go get RTSR set up because of that, and then I have to do a little bit of RP, which is just placing the different skulls of the different lords. We get some words from the Firekeeper at the end there, and then that's it. But we use this setup. I use Karthus Blood Ring, Flynn's Ring, Red Tearstone Ring, Chloranthy Ring, and then we just go in with everything that we need and everything that we got. We'll see how we do here.
Gamers, get your blesses, etc. in chat for Jeff. This is the final fight.
I got really lucky there. Not a single follow-up. Curved sword phase is unfortunate because you basically do not want to engage with him. He's covered himself in toxin, has now made himself stronger. But curved sword phase is the most dangerous phase for taking a single hit. So we just kind of run away, unfortunately. That was weird. Unfortunate. Get a little bit of quick swipe, unfortunately, so it caught me sideways. This is the sort of thing that, because I know we're a little bit out of time, I could continue this until we get him, or whatever you feel is necessary.
I think give it another shot.
I can give it another shot for you right now. So yeah, so he can also parry you is correct in curved sword phase, which is real bad for my strategy, because my strategy is just to overwhelm him with damage. And it works a bunch of the time. It requires him to not do curved sword phase basically though. So we're gonna fix our gamer posture. Thank you for the good luck, everyone. Considering all the shenanigans earlier, I'm not that high above my PB, which is amusing.
It just means you have the potential to kill the PB.
For sure. Bait out that third attack so we can safely do that. And then get caught because we misread the thing. That's okay. But yeah, so the idea, what do splits mean? Splits are the different bosses, essentially, of, or kind of different segments that you consider when you're talking about any given run, whether that is a speed run or that is a challenge run, like a hitless run or something like that. So it's just a way of measuring your progress in specific areas. And I'll go until you tell me we're out of time, because I'll just keep playing Dark Souls all day if no one stops me.
I will. I'll see what Tech thinks, but I have faith in you.
Oh, almost, sir. He's being really mean with his RNG right now. Very scary. There's Lance. Lance is also scary. Not as scary as Curved Sword. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's even worse. So I rolled away because you kind of canonically need to in that sort of situation, because one of the big things about Cinder, what is Tony Danza? Tony Danza is Dancer, the Dancer fight. Because hold me closer, Tony Danza. But the big thing about Cinder is that Cinder can kind of branch from anything to anything. It's not 100% true, but it's the easiest way of summing it up, essentially. I need to count that hit. So we end up having to consider about every possibility that he could do when transitioning from one attack to the next. So, for example, that has almost no follow-up, which is great. Which means we can just basically immediately punish it.
I'm gonna say this is probably the last attempt here, Jeff. Good luck.
That's fine. Thank you. That's unfortunate. He has a stagger step version of that, which is what he did. I misread it, so he did the stagger step versus the immediately you need to roll sort of thing. But that's okay.
All right, one more. That was,
we can do one more.
That was a quick one. Do one more attempt, and this will be the final, no matter how it goes. Gamers, I have to implore you though, and I'm going to kind of do my closing remarks here a little bit as Jeff continues into this fight. But I implore you to follow Jeff on Twitch, twitch.tv/JeffOvertime. Truly, you will not be disappointed. And it's a really high quality stream and well run. And Jeff, good luck.
Thank you. Phase 2 is easier, believe it or not. Scary. Oh, no. That's okay. So to me, phase 2 is significantly easier because there's actually just fewer branching options essentially in phase 2. There's a couple of specific unique attacks that you have to watch out for. Some small gotchas here and there, but it's not like short sword, for example, is going to be a situation where he did that horizontal and there's the potential that he could have followed up with an immediate like Prince's grade, like super fast attack, or he'll stagger step. And if you rolled as though he was going to do the quick step, you're completely hosed and you're just going to get hit. That's okay. So, but I appreciate you cats being here with me kind of goofing a little bit. As Adolf was saying, I do this on Monday and Tuesday on 7:30 PST. I also do a variety night on Thursdays. I'm big chilling, all that sort of good stuff. Doing a lot of Luigi's Mansion, some holdover from community voted games from Spooky Month. But yeah, so thank you for the shout outs. I appreciate you very much. I appreciate you hanging out with me, Adolf, and all of you here in chat.
It's Jeff is definitely a hero for coming on and doing a run this difficult, especially one that he is still obviously trying to get down. It's a nerve-wracking thing to come on to a show this size and do anything. So to do a run this caliber, and Jeff originally was like, "Are you sure you don't want someone with a lower PB?" And I was like, "Jeff, no, I want you on the show."
I appreciate your generosity. My wording was to you something to the effect of, "Are you sure you don't want someone that's good?"
I think everyone in the chat would agree. You're clear. Anyone that can do so many of those bosses on one or fewer hits is good in my book. But regardless, gamers, thank you so much for watching. We have more hotfix content coming up in just a moment. We're going to take a short break. And then stay tuned for Legally Cute, which is a show about cute or relaxing speedruns. And there will be a collection of cute games on tonight, so be sure to stay tuned. And then after that will be a Mega Man X restream of a Japanese Mega Man X event. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. And if you miss out on any GDQ hotfix shows, if you're on Twitch and you miss any, you can go to youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick. Gamers, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all very soon for PB Precipice this Sunday. But please take care, and we'll see you in just a few minutes for the next show.
Bye, everyone.